that root canal, but still showing up here to BOL Diamond week number 4, casting through the pain. Fantastic stuff. Happy to have you here,
no
of
pain, no
course.
gain, right? That's how it works here, as we get to see the
Indeed.
draft from both sides. So really interesting that we get to see. I believe we found out that it is going to be a Morgana jungle here. So we do have
Yeah.
Morgana jungle. We have been seeing actually Morgana jungle coming back into the fray slowly but surely. You know, at the beginning of the season, it was all about the brand jungle. People were like, oh, brand jungle this, brand jungle that. And then Morgana's been silently like in the background, slowly working her way back up. And I think people are realizing, oh wait, yeah, she's pretty good at this, isn't she?
But yeah, Morgana's an interesting one, definitely, as she's always been viable, you know, ever since those changes so long ago now. But she did kind of fall off a little bit in terms of popularity. As you say, you know, has kind of started to come back here. Some of the other AP junglers are maybe starting to fall a little bit out of favor. You know, I personally, just seeing the draft on its face, I was actually expecting the Rel jungle to come through here. And the Morgana to be paired up alongside the Jinx. You know, I feel like it would be a good lane into Nautilus Senna. They do have a lot of CC, right? But Morgana is still going to be able to provide all that value with the Black Shield and is actually going to have maybe some more resources, given the fact that she is in the jungle position. So
Yeah,
don't mind
might
that
as well
one
get the
bit.
jungle out of the way while you still can, right? Play it
Yeah,
while you
yeah.
can, because soon it will be gone forever.
It will be. It will be. That's, you know, another reason why I kind of thought it would be played in the jungle tonight, just because there is such a limited time, right, where you can still make that pick work. So any junglers who did invest time into learning that one want to try and get the value out of that while they still can, but not going to be the case tonight. It is interesting to see the Mundo come through here, Magical, on R5 into the Volibear. I do think that's, you know, a reasonably good matchup for the Mundo, but maybe not as inspiring as we would like to see coming from an R5 pick.
Well, I'm actually not too much of a hater against the Mundo. I actually think Mundo is a pick that is underrated by a lot of people, especially because the scaling that he has for the team. You got Jinx, you got Azir, you got Mundo. This team, they get to 35 minutes, there's just literally no way they can lose. Like, the only way you can lose is if Mundo decides to literally dive the fountain by himself, and even still, they might win at that point.
That is true. That is true. There are not really very many good tank busters on the side of Brad Balster. You know, maybe if Senna decides to go for the on-hit build, maybe she could get some work done there, but still seems like a little bit of a tall order. So I think that is a great point, Magical. You know, given the team composition on the other side in its entirety, I do think the Mundo is looking pretty good here. And obviously, he's going to be able to provide some great front line as well to set up for the Jinx and the Azir hyper carries later on.
Yeah, and looking over at Brad Balster, though, what I like about this composition is they have a lot of good skirmishing, right? Volibear, he's no slouch when it comes to later into the game, but I think he's going to be a little bit stronger in the lane phase here than Mundo. And then you have an Akali here that can attack that Azir. Once you get to level 6, you have Vi as well. The only thing is that Senna Nautilus lane probably want to be a little bit more passive for a little bit, but even still, it's like you just are going to have this point in the game where I think you spike a little earlier if you're Brad Balster on this composition. And if you're able to make that fight work, you can make sure that that 35-minute ticker that you're on just doesn't happen. You end the game beforehand. It's like 30 minutes. All right, good team fight. Let's win.
Absolutely right, Magical. They are going to have a little bit of that earlier spike, and they're very comfortable, actually, the side of Brad Balster playing with this kind of composition as well. You know, last week, Brad Balster against the Akuma Sabres, the jungler Echo was also playing the Vi in game number 1, was 9-3-13 in that game on the Vi, and the mid laner does really enjoy these sort of melee assassins, so Akali one of their most played as well. So a lot of comfort there in the mid jungle for Brad Balster. So theoretically, I think they absolutely could look to find that, you know, level 6, that mid game lead and try to snowball the game.
Exactly, and that's what they got to look for, because eventually they will just get outranged. Even if Senna gets enough stacks, you have an Azir and Jinx you're worrying about, Morgana to create space, Mundo to create space, Rel to create space. There's a lot of good space creating tools here for Con Esports that if you're Brad Balster, you're just not going to be able to attack that Jinx too effectively later into the game. You're going to get kited back really easily. It's really hard for you actually to stick to those targets in the back line. So you have to make sure, I'd even say like not exactly at level 6, but probably like level 9, right around there.
True.
Maybe like level 9, maybe right around the 17 and a half, 18 minute timer in the game, that's where you want this big explosive play to happen for Brad Balster. And if that happens, then Con Esports probably will crumble at that point. But if they can survive that, or even just only have minor losses for Con Esports, it's going to be really difficult for Brad Balster to break up the backline.
Yeah, definitely could come through. You know, they will at least have that point and click, right, of the Vi ultimate to the Nautilus ultimate to try and get some CC down onto that Jinx. But, you know, in a situation like that, you only have, oh, absolutely right, Magical. Yeah, the Black Shield could counteract that pretty effectively. So we'll have to see if Brad Balster do manage to find that mid-game lead. But either way, it should be a very exciting match tonight. This is Brad Balster, ranked number 3 right now in the standings, 2-1 versus Con Esports, still with that undefeated match score up in 2nd place. Should be a banger.
Yeah, it should, as we get ourselves loaded up onto the Rift. Everyone going for the line of scrimmage. Nothing going to be too fancy on either side here. You can see. I kind of was expecting maybe we could see a little bit more plays here from Brad Balster, just with having Nautilus in the bot lane. Sometimes you want to go for those early plays, especially against a composition that doesn't really want to get attacked early. Morgana jungle, while it is fast at clearing, is really good at that. She is something that is really susceptible to an invade. So the fact that there was the line of scrimmage, I would have actually expected Brad Balster to maybe look for a kind of a crazy level 1 play.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that they have the composition that kind of needs to win early, right? And not necessarily this early, but at some point before.
But who knows? You know, level 1 plays are always fun, right? You just go, hey, let's go for it. We got Nautilus. We get a flash here, a flash there. That's going to work out. But nothing fancy like that's going to happen out. Just going to be everyone going for the typical plays. I do like that the Morgana is starting on the red side and getting a nice leash here from Sir Raven. So it is going to be more able to attack this bot lane, where I think you'll have more plays earlier on. Like, you look top lane as the Morgana. Yes, Volibear is going to be something that will innately push against Mundo, but Mundo's not really going to help out that much early into the game. Like, if he lands a cleaver, sure, but Volibear should be able to escape a lot of that easily. The bot lane is really where you want to attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you do get the Mundo ahead, then you're also even not really getting that much value out of it, right? Like, Mundo is going to scale up and get tanky regardless, whereas on the flip side, if you get the Jinx ahead, that is absolutely game-changing. So we'll have to see. It does look like that clear path is going to be matched by Echo on the Vi on the other side. Both junglers going top to bot.
Yeah, just going to match each other. And Echo not getting any leash either. Was able to get a pretty full clear there, with Myth kind of just clearing out the top side. Got a little bit of a leash. Will be really quick there on Morgana as well. That is something that people kind of forget, is that Morgana is a very fast clearer. The only thing is she kind of is reliant on that blue in order to have the increased speed with the cooldowns and extra mana. So Echo is going to have a little bit of extra time on her, but they should be matching each other when it comes to the scuttle play.
Yeah, absolutely. Have to see who does get that all-important South scuttle. As one other interesting thing to note here at the beginning, Magical, is we do have the AD carry player for the side of Balder on the Nautilus. Onset picking that one up, and then the support M1 piloting the Senna. Is M1's most played, the Senna, so making sense there.
Okay, well, this is the play attempted here by Brad Balster. But M1 had to flash away, because like I said, Myth, I expected to be here in the bot lane. Zap body blocked by a minion there. And with Echo in the bot lane, it's going to be the Black Shield. It will be fine getting out of there. Myth body blocking a lot of the damage as Echo tried to continue the fight. But look at how much damage they got into this back line. M1 was a little too low. And even though Echo wants to continue this play, wants to stick around here, both junglers, in fact, hanging in this bot lane. I don't know if either of them is really going to work. The flash coming in from onset with the last embrace connected, but there's Echo into the backline again. The Black Shield on to Jeff, keeping him alive. No, it's going to be the first blood picked up by Vi with Myth running for the hills. Data, the next target. They got the Dark Binding to land on Echo, but Echo getting the flash away from Data, barely surviving the rel.
Nicely done by Balders there. And the junglers were the difference. Echo level 4 on the Vine. Mytherium actually skipped the Gromp and
flashed in! Echo never used flash from before.
Nice read there from the jungler for Brad Balders over here. Able to identify the Morgana, still level 3, low HP as well, trying to move back into the jungle instead of just going for the reset. Echo able to punish there, gets the South Crab, going for the reset now. I wonder if the Vi will be able to get the double scuttle.
honestly, I would imagine that it should already be on this top side. Should already be able to get it pretty quickly. And with Raven getting Syntax so low, I don't think you'd actually want to go for it. Oh, Syntax, that's a huge heal. I always forget how big that heal can be from a Volibear as well. And it is the ghost pop there from Sir Raven to get away from that one. But you got to be careful with the chain lightning that coming from this Volibear. Of course, it is a ghost Volibear, and he's only level 5. If he was level 6, then you definitely would be worried. But Mithram getting the Scuttle Crab there on the top side, Echo kind of realizing that. And all right, fine, I'll go back to clearing a little bit. Try to get to level 6, maybe make a play around the Void Grubs because we're going to have a nice push in this top lane.
Yeah, as it turns out, Magical, you were right on the money about the Vi. Not necessarily, actually, probably shouldn't have even looked for that topside scuttle. Was not able to get there in time. Actually going for a little bit of a lane gank now, potentially, or just covering the Volibear's push, maybe.
Yeah, but with Sir Raven already at level 6 right now, that ultimate's up for Mundo. And that's why he's kind of just hanging out, waiting to see if a ghost is popped, get a little bit poke back on Syntax. Not having the W's already proc there from Syntax either, so Mithram on the other side, missing the lightning of the flash in, flash shield away, but you gotta be careful, even if you have that healing, you can get the dash in, and there's an Akali rotating up to help a killing spree for Echo.
Nice rotation there from the mid laner. Really able to get up there and be the difference. The 3-0 now on the board for Brad Balster. They are finding that early lead that they needed.
A little earlier than I expected, too. I was expecting more like passive gameplay until they got some of these ultimates, then look for some of those plays. But Echo has been all over the place, making really good work of this Vi. Now should be able to get all... Oh, actually, maybe not. Mithram is here. No, it's going to be the Smite there, securing. Getting all 3 of the Void Grubs early. Also, Raven did TP back into the top lane. Look at the damage that is being done back by Volibear onto Mundo. Mundo without ultimate now, very susceptible to Syntax taking him down, who hadn't even used the ultimate beforehand. And Echo continues to chase down Mithram, poking out that Morgana, forcing another recall early on. While mid lane, wait a minute. Oh, cool chase. Solo kills. Okay.
Dang, yeah. I mean, the Akali had no ultimates, and LL Cool J's clearly was aware of that. Both mid laners using the flash there, but the Akali still going to go down. So signs of life now for Con Esports. Maybe LL Cool J's getting them their first kill of the game.
Now, I'm not exactly sure what happened in that mid lane, but I'm wondering if it just the disrespect there, so, saying, I can walk up to this wave, and then LL Cool J's is like, wait, I'm a Zero. You don't have flash or ult anymore. I'm just gonna kill you.
Yeah, it was good identification there from the Con mid laners. We got another fight.
Dark Binding landing onto M1, tap 2. There's gonna be the kill in this bot lane. Getting a Morgana on the board. She's attempted so many of these ganks, but Echo had been in perfect placement to kind of counteract a lot of these plays made by Mithram. But they're finally making something stick a little bit. But unfortunately, with this Akali already looking for a roam, even though they're the ones that got the play, they're the ones that got the pick, they cannot look for the objective.
Yeah, pretty, little bit unfortunate for Con Esports. So they are going to be content, I think, overall, to just kind of continue playing this early game at a slower pace for now. As we already discussed, you know, they are going to continue to get stronger and stronger as the game progresses. And it is just a Chemtech Drake first as well. So the stats that you get from that, not even really that valuable. Although Echo is going to move over here now and look to start this one up.
And it's just about stacking them up, right? It's just about getting an early stacking. And for Brad Balster, this composition that I said spikes a little harder, a little sooner, getting dragon stacking is going to really help them out. And that, because that could put back to that timer that I was talking about, that 35-minute window here for Con Esports. That could actually push it back to more like 40 minutes if you have these, especially dependent on what Drake you roll. Because with the Chemtech soul out of the way, the Cloud Tech, the Cloud soul out of the way, you have some good options.
Is that a new one?
Cloud Tech, I know, right? I was like, but the Cloud Dragon out of the way. You could have Hex Tech. That's a good one. You could have Mountain. No. These are really good ones that you could possibly get. It's right now, the Raven popping the ult, but this is what I was talking about. Syntax has a lot of damage. Hasn't even ulted themselves yet with the Chain Lightning, getting rid of a lot of the minions. As Sir Raven had to pop both the ult and Ghost just to survive.
Yeah, so Raven obviously able to survive there, but Syntax able to put on a decent amount of pressure here in the 1v1. And I like the fact that the Volibear didn't commit his own Ghost or ultimate there. He knows that the Mundo is just going to go where he pleases. He can't actually lock that guy down. and so he's going to hold on to those cooldowns.
But here we go, bot lane. Without the Morgana's Black Shield, Jeb in a lot of easy target position, but was able to somehow kite it back out. They use a lot just to get away, but there's a lot also burned trying to get Jed. Like, they use the ultimate there from Vi, they used the Nautilus ult. They did get the Ghost and Flash out of Jinx, but honestly, trading 2 ults for both those summoners, you kind of want to almost stay in this bot lane so you really can make good use of getting rid of those summoner spells.
Yeah, I mean, I think BBG will be happy with that trade, but that's the key point, right, Magical, is with those summoners spells down, now you need to actually punish the Jinx and take advantage of that previous play, or it will not actually end up meaning anything.
No, not at all. And you do have a long window, right? That is the nice thing about the ultimates. It's going to be a lot lower of a cooldown than either of those summoner spells. So you have a big window here, and you know that Mithram is probably going to look for these Void Grubs. And so you hang out in this bot lane, looking for this play. Ultimates are still not up yet for Onset or Echo, but Jet and Data are playing very far back, just being really cautious. Magnustorm even used with the crash down, trying to cut it back, tanking up the ultimate, but they flashed in. Jet's getting the first casualty, getting the kill, while Echo nearly died to the turret, got a lot of damage. Flash in, Data really wanted that kill onto Echo, pushes him back, just needs one more auto attack, but he couldn't get it. And look who's here! It's LL Cool J to save the day, even if Data dies. They do trade back 1 for 2, with 2 in the bot lane, running away, way too low to continue the play.
Wow, really thin margins there for Brad Balster Gaming, as the Nautilus and Senna both able to make it out with blinking health bars. But in the end, they do successfully punish the Summoner Spellless Jinx. Now, LL Cool Jace with a nice move again down towards this bot side to salvage the play a little bit for Con Esports. But I think overall we got to give some props to BBG there for executing on the play.
But here, Mithram was actually invading against Echo, trying to get as much gold as possible away from this vibe, but now in a bad spot, spotted out. Here's Fossil getting the flash away from Mithram. Still chasing though, perfect execution. Not getting the shuriken flip, but doesn't really need it because Dark Binding not gonna help out. Picking up that kill for Kali.
Yeah, very nice. That's Kali's first of the game. Wasn't able to pick up that kill earlier, was just the assist, and actually looking for a bit more.
Even looking for Raven, who had already popped the ult, but with that ward placed down, knew Akali was looking for the dive. Would have been a really risky dive there with just Akali without the ultimate. Would have been much more required of Echo to actually be there in order to make the play work.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier as well, right? Is it's usually not actually worth putting the Mundo down because he is eventually just going to come back into the game anyway. So Akali thinking better of that one.
Yeah, thinking better and thinking of that. Onset was in mid lane, but spotted out by Data. Mithram here as well. So there's nothing really to play here. Like getting the kill onto LL. Yeah, like LL Cool Jace is pretty much your only target, as he's got the shutdown gold on anybody. If you look across the board, only M1 could be the other one. So not having that play, for me, Brad Balster Gaming kind of put themselves in a bad spot because Onset now taking a lot of damage, trying to Spider-Man out of their rocket. Pick up a kill. There's Jet on the board. And in that one, as you can see on the other side, Echo maybe was threatening a potential dive. They had that TP from Akali, but already got the call from Con Esports to fall back, maybe look for the dragon.
Yeah, I mean, the Nautilus is going to respawn and be able to make his way back towards this dragon. Won't be able to get here right as it spawns, but... And there is some decent vision control, actually, as well for Con Esports over the area. So might be difficult to contest for the side of Brad Balster. And putting a stop to this dragon stacking is going to be fantastic news for Con Esports if they do manage to accomplish that.
So Jet actually put themselves in a real bad spot. Way too far pushed out. And now that's just going to be the ult, locking them down. Cease and desist. Dawning Shadows wasn't even required. But LL Cool Jace had TP'd into the bot lane. If they get this kill onto Echo, that's going to be even bigger. The flash away from Echo trying to survive. And here's Onset on the other side. Black Shield onto LL Cool Jace, looking for the re-engage. That's going to be Morgana onto 3 people. The flash in, they've taken 1 for 1. Junglers are out of here with LL Cool Jace not having the ult. Neither Data having to try to get away, but just couldn't. Perfect execution. Actually didn't take the kill. It was Onset picking up that one.
Yeah, and it is the farming Nautilus, right? So that is still going to be decent for the side of Brad Balster. But really, I think Magical, unfortunately, we have to criticize Con Esports for going for that play. I mean, Jinx had just gone down, but Mytharium still moving forward with Morgana wanting to go for that fight. And it absolutely did not work out for him.
Yeah, they wanted to make use of the TP there from LL Cool Jace. being in the bot lane, but it just once you lose your Jinx on that play, there is no play anymore. You need to fall back out of that one. The best you could hope for was for the 1-for-1, but they're actually continuing to look for this one to stop the Dragon Stack body block on the Rocket to onset, but they pick up the kill, the shutdown. In fact, for Mithram, getting the kill with the sands, and now it's gonna be the flash away. Everyone trying to get out of there. Zap not connecting, but they got the chase down. LL Cool Chase is on a rampage. Nautilus went the wrong way, but I don't even think they need to get that kill. They just want to get the Dragon to deny the stacking for Brad Balster Gaming.
Oh man, this one is chaotic magical. You know, it's now we have to criticize Brad Balster. They used up their tempo to win that team fight down towards the bot lane, but it was a little bit too greedy.
Oh, wait a minute. Data wanted to get over the wall and accidentally messed up the crash down there. A little too thick on that wall. Onset's hoping the TP's going to be that flash in, but the Shattering Strike denies that one. Data's going to get the kill here. There's no execute there.
Oh man, if he just channeled the TP a little bit earlier, he could have been out of there, but didn't end up going for it. Will eventually get taken down. The kill does go over to the Rel support, so a little bit of a silver lining there, but still, Nautilus finding himself in the death chamber once again.
Yep, dying on that one. The biggest, I think the silver lining though for Brad Balster is that was a lot of times still committed to get the kill on the onset.
Sure.
And while that happened, bot lane turret was taken by a colleague. Wassal was able to at least get that for themselves, and now top lane looking for Raven, who popped the ultimate. They haven't gotten rid of
That's
the
a Mundo, guys.
That's a lot used trying to kill this Mundo, and he goes pretty damn pleased. You're not taking him down that easily, as Data now shows up on the other side, and same with Jed. Flash away from N1. Will survive, but all of that committed to try to get Mundo, and what did it get you? Absolutely nothing. Oh, wait a minute. 1v1's continuing across the map. Oh, Cool J's shut down. Almost there for LL Cool J's.
They're really making you earn your keep tonight, Magical. Root Canal or no, these teams are just non-stop fighting.
I'm okay with it. I prefer when teams are willing to scrap like this, when they're willing to throw everything in the kitchen sink into this game, as we continue to see these fights top lane. The Raven and Syntax.
They're chilling.
Normally you're like, oh, it's a wet noodle fight, but they actually do substantial damage to each other. Like, it's more that they just heal up enough to make it look like they're not doing any damage.
Exactly right there. They are doing damage, but they're also healing the damage quite a lot. So in the end,
Bo is here. So Dark Binding not connecting. Okay, so they're gonna fall back out of that one. The moment you miss that Dark Binding out of Morgana on the Volibear, you're like, all right, fall back. No reason to look for the play, and all the while, Rift Herald. I got quiet there for a second because I thought the Rocket was going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought so too. It was very, very close. That Herald, I think, was down to 200 health or thereabouts, and Echo just managing to secure it in time before the Rocket connected. As a jungler myself, you know, it definitely flashed before my eyes for... Oh.
All right, looking for the play, but no Rocket this time around, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, totally fine. I got baited a little bit there, but... And the Herald was secured, did go over to Brad Balster Games. They're going to have that now available. I would like to see them utilize it in about a couple of minutes' time in towards this mid-tier 1, create some pressure in the mid lane, and they are going to start to, they're going to need to continue, rather, trying to stack up these dragons. It is an Infernal Soul, one of those really powerful ones that we did mention earlier on. And, you know, not only is the dragon stacking going to be important for their own win condition and trying to progress the pace of this game, but getting over Infernal Dragons to Azir and Jinx, very, very dangerous.
So now we're getting to the point in the game where Syntax was winning, and you can see how much damage that Syntax is still able to get on the Mundo, but now you're level 12 on Mundo. Your ultimate does a lot more, you're healing up a lot more, your damage is a little bit better, so you can actually survive some of these fights. I don't think you're going to kill Syntax in these fights, because Syntax can heal just as much, as you can see right there. Every time the bite comes back, just like, all right, I'm going to heal up to full anyways, and then give it a couple seconds, and then Sir Raven's going to heal up as well. It's pretty much going to be that kind of nature in this top lane. Though, Sir Raven, you're playing with fire every time.
No ultimate on the Mundo.
Yeah, you were playing on fire, and you deserve that death. You needed to back off that one. Let yourself heal up a little bit more. I played Mundo many a times. I know how this matchup works, too.
Harsh words from Magical there, saying the doctor deserved to die. Medical license revoked, as the bear can be able to take him down. Syntax going for
does that mean that the bear is now a doctor? Is that how this works? Is it like
Maybe.
Highlander rules with doctors? Is that how
Yeah, like
people become a doctor? I don't know.
King of the Hill style. You gotta kill another doctor to
And that's
prove that you
become
know
a
how it
doctor.
works.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
that
that's
makes
how it
sense.
works. Ooh, taking a lot of damage here. And that is one thing that M1, you're asking whether it's going to be the on-hit Senna build or if it's going to be the typical lethality. I was expecting typical lethality, just that's the stronger build right now. And against Mundo, not going to do much. Against Jinx by herself, going to do a lot.
True. Very true. And, you know, those are the key targets, right? If you do manage to take down the Jinx and the Azir by just kind of going around the Mundo or through the Mundo, then that can still work out quite nicely.
All 5 members here for Brad Balster. They got the play. They've got so much damage on the Mithra there to get to pick up the kill onto the Morgana, and then the back line looking for Jinx. They've gotten rid of her. Raven as well. He TP'd only into his own doom. Brad Balster find a beautiful play here on to Con Esports. Only losing one person here. Their jungler fell, so they can fall back and pick up this dragon if they want to.
Really nicely executed there by Brad Balster. They end up getting the 4-for-1 team fight. Echo did have to go underneath the tier 2 to finish off Jed's Jinx.
Is that me, or is that... that's not normal,
yeah, the visual.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the spectator thing.
To me, it looks like it almost could work, because it almost could look like gunpowder.
Yeah. I guess that is, you know, can be somewhat relevant for infernal dragons. You know, you get spark to fire the. Yeah, there's something there. I'm with you.
I interrupted your point completely for that because it bothered me, but then I also brought it back in my own mind. It was like, I don't know how I did that. The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
I mean, that's makes good entertainment, I think. So it all works out.
All right, well, Data sprinting in that top lane. I don't think actually wanted to look for the play against Akali. Futsal should be able to get out of a lot of those pretty easily, honestly, as Akali, especially against a Rel. And here, kind of bringing back the point, right? Brad Balster, as the third-seeded team here, going up against the Con Esports, the second-seeded team, even if they are undefeated. It's like, you look at this, and on paper, it should be really close. And Con Esports, I feel like, just haven't ever been tested this well by a team before. And I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to do now that they are put at this limit. They're put behind. Of course, I did say that as this composition, they do want to scale up into the game, and it's about mitigating losses, not necessarily just stopping them or getting wins. And they are only, at this point, only 3,000 gold behind. It's not terrible for this composition. But this is where I want to see Brad Balster, you know, pedal to the metal. Really test Con Esports and say, hey, you have to play around these objectives. You have to play into us. Eventually, you will outrange us. So we're going to look for this Baron. We're going to look for these dragons. We're going to look for these plays. At the moment, they are trying to reset, get some of these items before doing that, which is fine. But they really need to continue this momentum going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how you have to play with this composition, right? But I really like, Magical, the fact that you mentioned that Con Esports, you know, some people have been saying that they haven't really been tested yet. You know, all of their opponents so far have been against bottom half teams, right? Yep. They have been able to win out against all of those opponents, obviously. But this is, I think, easily their strongest opponent that they've had to face so far. So, you know, given how close this game one has been, it does feel like there's a chance here that Brad Balster can really make a push towards that top 2 position and potentially knock Con down. But getting a little ahead of ourselves, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it is a best of 3 too, right? It's like taking one game is great, but you got to take the series for it to really matter. And that's why I'm asking Brad Balster how they can play this composition, how they can look for these plays, because they no matter what, even if they were up 10,000 gold at this point, and if they're playing this slow, I'd still say you're on a timer. You have to continue to escalate. You have to continue to make these plays happen, because when the game slows down like this, it only will ever benefit Con Esports. They'll get items. They'll get scaling. Look at this. 2 items already for LL Cool J's and for Jed. That's big. Just having 2 items for them, even if they were behind earlier. Oh, not LL Cool J's. He's doing great. He's 5-1. Props to you on this. But the Jinx was behind. But yet she's on even items against M1.
Yeah.
Yes, farming Senna, this, that, and the other thing. But that's still the fact that those are cheaper items for M1 compared to Jed, and Jed is still on the same level as you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we... Oh,
Data.
Here.
Data is getting caught out here. Was by himself. Your jungle is not owned by you at this point. This one is completely owned by Brad Balster, and you can see how the vision control is. This is where I like this play. Looking for the fight in the bot lane, Syntax making sure that Sir Raven cannot join for the TP play while his team is looking for the Baron. And this is forcing the hand of Con Esports, continuing to chase this down. Make sure Mundo cannot TP. He's already used the ult. He's used so much just to get away. Yes, he can reset. He can get back into the base. There is the TP available. LL Cool J's getting a little bit of vision with Mithram on the other side. It's possible. Has to have the spell shield blocking the dark binding. 50% onto the Baron. Jed is on the other side. They go for the engage though. Black shield doesn't help out. Dawning Shadows, the rocket. LL Cool J does survive on the other side of the wall with Mundo showing up. Getting the flash away from Echo with the Magnet Storm. Get showed up. Data, perfect time. Perfect placement. Double kill for Mundo. Chase down from Syntax. Too late. Looking for the back line with a dash in. Does take down Azir, but falls to Jinx as everyone losing out. Brad Balster, you had it all. You had the world, but Con, battle it back. They fight you right tooth and nail, but the dash away to burn on Echo isn't enough, but getting rid of them is all the same because now they can peel back for the Baron.
Oh man, magical. That might be the back-breaking moment for Brad Balster in this game number 1. I do like the call, right, to actually go for the turn off the objective. I do think that was the correct call. You don't want to just flip it in the face of the stand.
Oh my goodness, wait a minute.
Wait.
What, onset on the other side. That should be secured. But with Echo so low, I mean, they were hoping that it was going to take a little bit longer, but at this point in the game, like I said, you have Jinx on your team. Jinx or Azir, either of them hitting this objective, they're going to melt through that pretty quickly. But going back to what you were talking about, Crewman.
Onset?
Onset, I think
he's probably alive, right?
Yeah,
he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, as I was saying,
yeah, go just talk. It's a Mundo. It's a Mundo.
Yeah, right. I forgot for a second. Yes, as I was saying, I do think turning off the objective was the right call, but unfortunately for Brad Balster, Senna M1 was not able to follow up on that play. Was just kind of stuck in the Baron pit, tanking all the Baron damage while the rest of the team went over the wall. And then, there were some unfortunate things as well, like with a well-timed Black Shield.
I think Syntax was a little late on the TP as well.
Yeah. Also, just the coordination not quite there for Brad Balster. They are not able to execute in that really high-pressure situation. It is going to cost them really big.
This is what we were just asking. How are they going to play around those objectives? How are they going to continue to escalate the game? Right now, looks like Con Esports have wrestled up back control fully in this game. And that's the competition that wants to scale. Having the Baron, Mundo, he's level 15. You want level 16 on Mundo to really survive a lot of that, but it doesn't matter. He's got 2 items under his belt, one of them being a Heart Seal, so he can dish a lot of damage back out at them. They've got all 5 members in the bot lane. They're just going to open up the base of Brad Balster.
Yeah, it's looking like a strong push. This might even be the end of the game, Magical.
Yeah, I don't know if that should be the end, unless they get this kill into Syntax as he dashes away, bringing this guy, the rocket really bringing the sky damage there, as Echo is on the other side looking for the flank onto LL Cool J, because that's really going to be the target. That or Chad getting the dash away, Onset barely alive. Possible body blocking some of the damage there to make sure that the Nautilus will survive as M1 and Echo threatening. You might be right here, crewman. They could be looking for the game. Con Esports were down and out for so long, but one heroic play, one beautiful team fight. They're now taking down these Nexus turrets. The dash in, eviscerating Echo, Dawning Shadows, helping with the shield, but that's not enough to keep Onset alive. Killing free for Jed. Back in this game, the Jinx is excited. Nothing defending the Nexus. Puzzle will survive, but the Nexus will not. In game 1, we'll go to Con Esports.
Oh man, 18-18, the final kill count in that one. Definitely a very chaotic game. Wassel trying to go for some heroics at the end there, but ultimately it was the carries for Con Esports standing strong, finishing that one out very decisively in the end with that last push going all the way down the bot lane. And ultimately, it feels like it was maybe just a little draft gap. Con Esports had the easier to execute composition.
Yeah.
They were able to pilot it, according to their win conditions, and just once they had the advantage that they needed, they did not hesitate in closing out that first game.
It's just one of those compositions that you just get a couple items under Zira and Jinx, and you're like, okay, cool. We just autopilot at this point. Same with Mundo, right? We saw that Sir Raven was struggling against Syntax. One fight, literally one fight for Con Esports is all it took. Brad Balster were doing such a good job. Like, props to them for so much of that game. But like you said, crewman, I think that's It's an excellent point. It's an easier to execute composition for Con Esports. It's so much more difficult for Brad Balster. Low range, really having to pilot these fights perfectly. They've got to kind of separate the fights, make sure that they. And I think that last fight, like if we got to see a replay of that one, I think you had a great call that M1 was stuck in the pit. And when you're Senna, the one range isn't really getting the damage onto like the important members, you're losing out on pretty much most of your damage there. Like she's gone for the lethality. She's doing nothing. She's probably actually helping healing Mundo at that point.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, Con Esports were all there, right? The entire team was there. They were ready to go in for that contest, even if the turn didn't come out from Brad Balster. So the fact that you left, you know, one of your most important members in the Baron pit while you looked for that one, it just wasn't really going to work out. You know, Mundo also able to reclaim his medical license, I think, by the end of that first game. So big shouts there. Personally, my game one POG vote, I think, would actually go to LL on the Azir.
I think so too.
Really
like,
nice map movements.
Look at that last fight, right? How much had been used to kill LL Cool J's, and he survived for so damn long. Literally, like, only died because Syntax had used the ult and flash just to get on top of Azir in the middle of 5 people. Like, LL Cool J, I would definitely give player of the game for that one, too. I completely agree with you, crewman. But I think we're going to toss it to a break so we can get ready for game 2. See if Brad Balster can bounce back from that game, take us to game 3, or if Con Esports can prove why they have been undefeated and why they're our second-seeded team at the current moment. But we'll be right back just after a break. welcome back into the Blue Honor League. We're here for our Diamond League, and we're getting into Champions Select. We actually get to see it this time. Myself, Mad Magical, joined in by Crewman, as we had Brad Balster so close to taking down the undefeated Con Esports in Game 1. But Con, their composition was all about scaling up into the game. They got a couple items. They picked up that win, and now going into Game 2, they got that Jinx again, Crewman, and it's up against that Senna again for Brad Balster.
Absolutely. We'll have to see if the Senna is going to be played in a similar sense as, the Seraphine is going to come through. That is actually a favorite in the bot lane, I believe, for Brad Balders. Let's see if I can find those stats for us.
Honestly, I just like Seraphine in general. I think Seraphine's highly underrated right now. Mostly just because people always don't want to play Seraphine, but against a team that wants to scale, like a Jinx, Azir, you couldn't ask for something better than Seraphine. Delaying, she's going to be just as good at a late game team fights with a Senna on top of it as well. So I think that this is a really good read here from Brad Balster saying, hey, M1 was doing a great job on that Senna beforehand. Let's just add Seraphine into the spot lane to give us additional scaling as well. Give us a little bit extra range. Kite out these fights a little bit better. And I want to see what they now play up against LL Cool J's Azir here in mid lane, because I think that was the only other issue that they really have to address is how do you tackle that Azir here in mid lane. Kali, it was okay. It didn't do too bad, but it was enough. Yone, on the other hand, would be a really good call and really be able to attack Azir early.
That is exciting and definitely plays into, the mid laner's preference as well. I mentioned earlier that the Brad Balster mid does enjoy these melee assassin type champions. Yone, another one of their favorites, another one of their most played. So giving this one a whirl, see if it's going to do a little bit more into the Azir. But the Senna Seraphine pairing, obviously a bit of a classic. And this is something that they did also pull out last week up against those Akuma Sabres. It was onset was 2-0-16 on the Seraphine last week.
There's always a possibility that you have something wild, right? Where you're like, you know what? Let's go Senna Yone bot lane. And just feel like, so you're gonna swap. You're gonna be bot lane paired up with Senna this time. We're gonna put Seraphine mid lane, but honestly, I don't expect you should. Like you said, Wasal is a very proficient Yone player. Seraphine Senna, very safe bot lane. Jinx here in the spot lane too isn't really going to be able to do much to kind of move the needle in this bot lane early against them. And it really will, to me, for Brad Balster, depend on what they want to get here for jungle. Because I think it's going to be the top lane that's kind of saved for last, right? You see a lot of these jungle bans, Talon, Wukong, Jarvan. I wouldn't actually consider Zach a jungle ban and inherently anymore. He's been doing a really good job top lane, but still kind of has that flexibility. I think if the Vi gets banned here by Con Esports, then I really want to see what Brad Balster are going to take into the jungle. And because I was going to say, if Vi's left open, I would expect they just go for that to have something that can engage.
Yeah, definitely one of Echo's favorites, the Vi. The Wukong and Jarvan both banned away as two of his other most played champs. So it almost feels like Con Esports want him to lock in the Vi, which is a little bit interesting. I wonder if that is going to give them pause, as they might even be saving the Volibear's little flex these days. He's obviously popularized.
Give him pause. Volibear. Pause.
Oh man, yeah, no, that works. That definitely works.
I threw you off.
No, that was worthwhile. I'm glad you mentioned the pause.
Yeah, but I like this Volibear takeaway here from Brad Balster, because I actually could have expected to see that Con Esports maybe would go for the Volibear themselves in the top lane, say, all right, we're gonna have Sir Raven on the Volibear. If you're not gonna take that, if you're gonna go for the jungle first. But with the Volibear taken away, does force out that Mundo again in the top lane to continue go for that scaling. But I think the Volibear has a little bit more value in this composition here for Brad Balster, because this composition does scale a lot better, has really good team fights still, is really strong at that mid-game spike like we talked about before, but also is going to be just as equivalent when it comes to the 2-3 item spikes against that of Con Esports, especially because we have this Blitzcrank taken. And while Blitzcrank wants to pull either Seraphine or Senna, you pull a Yone, a Volibear, or Vi, you're kind of dooming your own backline here.
Yeah, the Blitzcrank, definitely an interesting pick here. Not something that I think we were necessarily expecting. Data does like their hook champs. It does tend to pull them out from time to time, but definitely a little bit of a departure from what we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, I would have expected the Nautilus, honestly, here. There's something that... I love Blitzcrank. I'm a big Blitzcrank fan. I think that if you're going up against this kind of composition, the non-committal that you have from that ultimate, right? There's a reason why Nautilus gets seen so much. It's like, you can inch your face off in lane. It doesn't matter. So long as you get a good depth charge in one team fight, you've got your value.
Yeah, definitely the case. And Blitzcrank doesn't have that guaranteed value, right? It's very, you know, it's hit or miss, quite literally, for the Blitzcrank. So we'll have to see if there are going to be more hits or misses in this game. As we do also have, of course, Supreme Comfort for Ethereum over there on the Udyr. And once again, Con Esports have a very solid front line to set up for their hyper carries, the Jinx and the Azir. They are, I think, a little bit lacking in engage this time around. You know, really their only options are Blitzcrank Hook or like Azir Scoop are kind of the only.
I think, honestly, I look at Con Esports and I think their idea for composition is it's what I call the catch and release, right? It's they take in the fight and they push it back at their opponents. They're okay with that, having that mentality. Say, yeah, you're going to be the ones that engage into us, and we could throw it right back in your face. We're okay with you being the ones to throw everything at us, and then we will just be a team comp that is fine. Actually, it's kind of interesting. So I will say we got to see. You know, we have the 2 different clients that we use for the for draft, right? And it looks like actually it's going to be Udyr top lane instead of going to be Udyr jungle. So Ethereum is actually going to be playing the Mundo jungle, and I'm a fan of that. And this is something I've been raving about for a long time, is Mundo jungle blue side. And the reason why I always rave for that is you get Mundo jungle and you get 2 pushing lanes in your solo lanes. So Udyr is always just innately going to be a great push into anything, just how he works into the lane. And Azir, kind of same thing. And Mundo actually can go for solo invades, and very few champions can deal with him level 1. It's kind of weird because Mundo is something that wants to scale, but Mundo actually is insanely good at level 1 as well. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ethereum go for a late invade and try to put a lot of pressure here onto Echo in the jungle. Say, okay, you have to have someone help you on your red. If you do start with red, if you start blue, I'm just taking your red, and I'm probably taking your whole top side.
Very interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see if the Mundo does get very aggressive in the jungle. I mean, he's a stat checker, right? That's what the champion does. And Vi, you know, usually thought of as a very strong early game duelist, but
she's good with
Mundo,
2 levels, though. She's good with 2 levels. Once she gets to the 2nd level, she'll be able to beat Ethereum. That's why it's that first the first camp that you have Mundo go for that invade, because it's kind of like Warwick, right? Warwick, I think, is also one of the few champions that has one of the best level 1s that people kind of forget about. Once everyone else hits level 2, then he's like, I'm okay. But level 1, he's like insanely good. Mundo is kind of that same thing, because he can just get the resets with his cleaver over and over again, and that's so much damage. The slow too, the chase down he gets onto you, that you're just not going to be able to do enough damage back onto Mundo. And so I am really curious. This is actually something that I've been talking with a lot of the NACL players and junglers about, from the tier 2 to tier 3, and a lot of them are like, yeah, it's really comp dependent. And having this Udyr Azir, I think, is where it fits well into this comp.
All right, well, that is definitely going to be really exciting to track. You know, honestly, Magical, I'm not even convinced that the Vi wins out. You know, at levels 2 to 5. You know, the Vi, obviously, before she hits level 6, only has the 1 form of CC. So you're not actually able to do anything to stop the Mundo until you get access to that ultimate. So
I mean, you're not really going to stop him anyways, right? His passive's going to help him out. It's more your denting blows that are going to do a lot of damage to him.
Sure.
So you get the armor shred early into the game is fine. That's going to help out. But again, you have to get to that point. And so it is going to be a struggle. Again, it's all dependent on how the 2 teams play with this. Because honestly, if Brad Balster play this well, they're just going to have they're going to start red side. They're going to have the only Volibear help out with the red to make sure that Ethereum cannot go for that invade, and make sure that Mundo doesn't get that early spike, because that's something people don't expect anymore. Grimman, how long have you been playing League of Legends for? How long do you go back?
Well, I first started playing like midway through season 3.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're still youngin. I back in my day, even though you've been playing since season 3, that's a long time. I've been playing
Yeah.
since 2010, and I remember in 2012 when Mundo Jungle was it was everything, all because of his invades, because he was so good at invading. And even though they reworked him, it didn't really change that identity about him too much. And he's still really good at invades. And I think that's something that we'll have to keep our eyes on. But we're going to toss to a break as we get ready for our second game. We'll see if that's going to happen or not, if we're going to have a 2-0 here for Con Esports, or if Brad Balster Gaming will make it so that we go to game 3. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hello. Welcome back into the Blue Otter League. We're getting ready for Game 2 here between Con Esports and Brad Balster Gaming. This is Game 1. Con were able to bring back the game, take us into a 1-0 lead right now. Look at Brad Balster and see if they can bounce back and get us into a Game 3 in this best of 3. It's all dependent on this composition they've drafted for themselves. I like a lot of their adaptations. Only really the 2 here from the mid and ADC that we see changed around, but I really do like what that brings to the table here, crewman.
I agree, Magical. I do think that Brad Balster made some solid adjustments heading into this second game. Looking over at the other side, I do feel like Con Esports got exactly what they wanted as well. I don't think anything's going to happen here, is it? We're just gonna
No. I mean, it's just kind of the Udyr thing. And that's why I was talking about, like, level 1 for Udyr is really strong in top lane, too. It's really hard for the Syntax to do much here against their Raven. Like, it's funny, it's kind of the opposite now. Before, it was like, oh, Volibear should win out on a lot of these matchups, should be able to get a lot of poke. Now it should be the Udyr constantly looking for these plays there, getting Syntax low, especially, like, for the first, like, I want to say the first 5 levels should all be Udyr favored. Though I will say Sir Raven did take a little bit too much damage. Now bot lane, actually, Data in the pull.
Oh.
That was a late fight there onto M1, but not actually getting the flash on them. So getting the pull, but not really getting anything for it. Will only really gain control of the bot here for Jed and Data.
I was going to say, I was a little bit disappointed we didn't see a level 1 from the Blitzcrank. Did end up going for something, but not really able to accomplish all that much as the level 2 Mundo making his way in.
In the bot lane and the pull onto Seraphine. That was a heal in from M1, but only the heal. Props here to Brad Balster's bot lane for using so little despite these hooks that normally could be so threatening into such a squishy bot lane.
Yeah, they were playing cool, calm, and collected down there. They know they have to sustain as well to just kind of keep up those health bars, even if they are getting chunked out a little bit with these aggressive maneuvers coming out from Con Esports. And we are going to see that early invade come out from the Mundo as you predicted, Magical. Vi going to get the bad news here in just a moment.
Yeah, but I actually think that this could be punished. Because we already see that M1 might be able to move up. They spotted out that Mithram is really low. Going for the dash in, and this is what I'm saying. Level 1 is when you have the play. Got to flash over. Couldn't even get the flash over the wall because Echo picked up the kill.
Yeah, I mean, Mytharium doesn't have flash, right?
Okay,
Ghost might for the Mundo, so popped it. Didn't matter. Not able to run fast enough. And the Vi able to punish that early aggressive move.
Yeah, and this is why I was saying it's like, if you're playing the Mundo jungle, it's level 1. It's all about the level 1 invade. You look for the early play, and then from there, it's all about top side. But playing around the bot side allowed Echo to gain some levels to get to that point where Vi could actually fight against Mytharium, and then Mytharium got a little bit too low because of the Gromp. So it was just a punish there from the side of Brad Balster Gaming saying, all right, Mytharium, you got yourself a little bit too low, and I'm still Vi. I still have good early damage.
Yeah, it was exactly as you predicted, really. I mean, really, Mytharium clearly not spent enough time studying the magical playbook.
But Udyr, here in the top lane, Sir Raven just gonna die there to Syntax, playing in the wave, playing it aggressive. Now we just see Con Esports here. Almost feels like they're playing a little bit too greedy. They're even going for the flash with the pull into the spot lane, getting the flash away from M1 with the Ignite ticking. Rockets picking up the kill, and now Jed is excited. Chasing down the Zap, gets the flash away from Onset. But
Here comes
look, he's
Dr.
on the other
Vi.
side. Echo is here, looking for the knockup with the rocket punch. They're trying to get the engage with the Vault Breaker body block there by Data. Beautifully done. Then the rocket grab not actually connecting on to Seraphine. I thought Onset was going to get pulled underneath the turret. That actually could have just completely made this Con Esports win.
Yeah, that would have been really tragic for Brad Balster if that last hook had landed there after the nice move in from Echo. But not going to come through, and it is still going to be Brad Balster up 2-1 in this early game. But Jed getting that first kill on the Jinx, definitely reasonably good for Con Esports as well.
That's gonna help him out. Oh wow. Okay, so Raven, I think you might just get Dove here. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I'm surprised Syntax didn't just attack the wave there to get the chain lightning, but Jed's gonna die in the spot lane. That had taken up a little bit too much of the turret, actually. So a turnaround. Oh, it's an execute. Wait a minute. There's no damage there done by Jed onto Echo?
Surprising. Yeah, I thought for sure that was going to be a double kill over to the Jinx. Still able to pick up one, and
Okay, Ghost has been popped by Udyr. Nice shield in from the turtle stance. Dashing away, but Syntax just needs to get level 6. Because you get level 6, you bring the Storm in that top lane, dive solo onto Raven, pick up the kill. But I think the fact that not knowing where the movement is there of Mundo, that Syntax is going to fall back a little bit, say, all right, no, let's not play too greedy here. Let's continue to win out in this top lane, since we know that Sir Raven doesn't want to TP, doesn't want to back because TP has been burned. Well, that's a flanking setup on the wrong side, not the side that you would expect there. Even if Yone did take up the turret, that's kind of surprising to see M1 come from that way.
Yeah, definitely, definitely pretty surprising. You know, you can tell Cool was a little bit caught off guard there, but played it very nicely to still be able to get away from that that Senna gank.
But now it's going to be Sir Raven, I think, just going to die here in the top lane. They have chase down there if they need to. There's no flash from Echo. Actually, Sir Raven will get out of there. But that is a fat minion wave in the top lane, so that is going to be a lot lost out here by Sir Raven. So Syntax just going to go back into the top lane, probably take a couple plates, get a little bit of leads here for Brad Balster Gaming. So a couple of those early plays that looked like they could have really worked out here for Con Esports. They have to continue to attack this bot lane, because I think that's the only lane that's really winning out at this point in the game and getting more kills for this Jinx. Now 3-1 is going to make up for what's happening on the top side of the map.
Yeah, that is really big. That is the gold exactly where Con Esports wanted in the back pocket. Oh.
Nah, I don't think you're getting the kill here. As you're chasing this down, Mundo's on the other side. You know the dragon's been taken there. So Assault is actually continuing this play a bit greedily.
Oh, he's gonna get him!
Get it! Wow! Right underneath the nose there of Ethereum.
Azir tried to flash away. It did not matter. Yone is just too silly, man. This champ is ridiculous. Wazal played it well, though. Able to get the finish off the Azir with the execute damage from the E. Does manage to pick up that solo kill for himself. And that is going to be some important gold for the Brad Balster mid laner. But as we can see, the Udyr up here is in a very difficult position. Was already down quite a bit of farm. Lost out on that big wave. And now this is going to be in a little bit of an awkward position. Although Syntax might just push it in again.
I think Syntax is just going to constantly look for these trades up against Sir Raven. Just anytime he sees Udyr step up, just go for a W there. Just be like, all right, I'm going to heal up a little bit. You know, as the Frenzied Mob, when you hit it on the same targets, just the heal you get is absolutely absurd. But bot lane, another Hex Flash there from Data. Was looking for M1, but the minions now body block a lot of the potential pulls that could have come in from Data. I mean, this bot lane still going to survive. And it's funny to see a lot of the plays for the side of Con Esports actually coming from this bot lane. Because normally you look at a Jinx lane and you're like, okay, you want to scale up into the game, but then it's Blitzcrank. So you add that in, but then you're like, okay, well, you're very squishy and very easy to attack. So getting that kill there, and I think that was actually shutdown gold that was picked up by Echo.
Yeah, really nicely done. Vi able to take down her estranged sister, and now both of them going to be sitting on 3 kills.
Oh, but here we go, bot lane. Echo had gone back to try to get the Gromp. I mean, Mundo shows up and then the rocket. So, hey, Jed's like, all right, I might have died, but I can get the rocket from downtown to get right back in the game.
Oh, man, magical. Are we watching a game of League of Legends, or are we watching Season 1 of Arcane? Because that was Jed. Oh, spoilers, I guess. But,
okay, it's been out for a while now.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
If there's people in chat who haven't watched Arcane at this point, I'd be more surprised. That would be more of a surprise than, like, it being spoiled for somebody.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But, Jed able to find the angle there. Gets kill number 4 now. Still waiting for that first completed item, but continuing to accelerate the AD carry of Khan.
Honestly, should have enough gold from that rocket, but wanting to get back into the lane first. Sitting on about 1,000 gold, I think, as Jinx at this point in the game with that kill. It's just like, yeah, you know, all right, push the wave. Now I go back. Now I can get that Kraken Slayer. I'll get the first item. So this is going to be a big spike here for the side of Con Esports. And I look at, and the thing, it's going to be nice for Con Esports, except for the fact that what's happening on the other side of the map could really make this difficult for them. Because
Blitzcrank has moved up here.
Blitzcrank has moved up into the top lane. Syntax has spotted it out. But I'm looking more at like the leads that are being gained right now for Brad Balster. Volibear and Yone having leads are great at attacking Jinx in backlines. And so even if Jinx feels safe, like she can kite it away and get back, they are really good at sticking to their target. Like, look at this right there from Pasal, kind of getting a little bit of damage there onto Mundo. Still putting up this pressure, but I think that Echo was a little bit too greedy there. Not ready for the play, and a beautiful hook onto Yone, but the last embrace, nearly taking down the kill. Getting one onto Mundo, the turnaround, dashed in with the Stormbringer. Turned back, Brad Balster. It looked bad for a second, but a beautiful fate sealed there from Pasal. Completely turned the fight around.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Magical. It looked like Echo was just caught out, that the Vi was just going to get taken down, but the hook from Data pulling in the Yone ends up backfiring in a big way as Wasal got his ultimate onto 3, and absolutely, as you say, turned that fight completely around in favor of Brad Balders. Now Yone on 2 kills, going to be able to get the shove out on this minion wave, going to be able to pick up a turret plate for himself as well.
I actually think that right here, Syntax might just be able to... Ooh, actually, he's got to be careful. Dawning Shadow, there's the shield. Helping out. No mana, though, on Volibear. The minions helping out the Chain Lightning. And look at how this Udyr's kiting it around, but a heal in from the Frenzied Maw. The Storm's being brought from Phoenix X to get a shutdown for Sir Raven.
That was pretty close. I mean, Syntax was healing quite a lot, but the Udyr's health bar never got quite as low as the Bear's did.
Well, it's just no mana. You had no mana there from the Bear, so can't just get the Frenzied Maw on cooldown where it's like, I think at this point in the game, let me check exactly what the cooldown is. I think it's like a 3-second cooldown, so if you have the mana for it, you're just healing up forever. You're never dying in that fight, but because you didn't have that at that point, it's a 4-second cooldown. So you just didn't have that, so that means you don't need to heal up against this Udyr who's just like, okay, I have enough mana to get enough shields, so your damage is negligible.
Oh, nice hook.
Nice hook, nice encore though. Does tag getting the cleanse out of Jinx and Senna surviving M1, getting out Mundo, not landing the cleaver. So Ethereum trying to chase down Onset. The smite as well. Again, the cleaver not connecting. Beautiful sidestep there from M1. Oh, they have Hospital on the other side, waiting for the Vault Breaker. They could have gone for the fight if they wanted to, but without the TP from Syntax, having used that into the top lane, it seems like they just want to fall back. They're not really too fussed over getting the dragons this game. Not this time around. They have decent enough scaling that they don't have to go for that dragon stacking.
Yeah, not going to overplay their hand here, Con Esports. They knew they had pressure in that bot side of the map, but they just didn't feel like they had enough time to really comfortably lock away that objective. Yone just a little bit too threatening there towards the mid lane. And M1 with some nice dancing shoes, able to stay alive there, get away from the Mundos. Onset dropping the beat, right? And M1 with the moves, able to play it cool down there. It seems like we might have just a moment here, Magical. I did have a little bit of a fun stat for us that I wanted to mention. So Brad Balster, across the first 3 weeks of play here, have only participated in 2-game series. All of their matches have been either 2-0 or 0-2. So interesting to see. I mean, they will have to break that streak tonight if they want to come away with the win.
Yeah, as right now, they are getting chased away from this dragon. They attempted it down to 25%. They've got Hassan looking for the Emperor, but the Emperor's divine, making sure the fight was split up while the top lane has a little bit of a skirmish between Syntax and Sir Raven. The fact that they got a little bit of damage on it to Mundo, got rid of the shield. The dragon really was the ultimate prize, and it was picked up here by Con Esports without really that much of a fight on the other side.
Yeah, pretty disappointing, honestly, for the side of Brad Ballers that they're not able to get any kills on the back end there, because that would have gone a long way into trying to get them in a better position to contest future dragons, which they will have to do, right, given their opponents now 2 up, threatening that soul point in 4.5 minutes time.
Yeah, but I believe it is the Ocean Dragon. Let me double check.
It's not an Ocean Soul, because Ocean was the dragon that just died.
Oh, no,
so
sorry,
Spectator is playing a bit of a...
Chemtech.
It's
the Chemtech Soul. That's why I wanted to check, because I saw the Ocean there for a second too. I'm like, wait a minute, no, it shouldn't be Ocean. You're right.
Yeah.
So it's not really the best soul role there for Con Esports. Like,
it's true.
The only thing is having Mundo with even more tenacity is going to be kind of funny. But outside of that, it's not really the best soul for either team, and the dragons themselves kind of meh. Just getting the slow resist, the tenacity will be kind of nice. And that's why I don't expect now these teams to really fight over that. It's more probably going to be around the grubs grubs or look for the Rift Heralds themselves, playing more around the top side of the map. Especially because we see that that pull in the bot lane. And with this Jinx
the
now,
chompers.
with the 5th kill there, flashing away from the Encore. Excited. 6 kills now for Jed.
Beautiful flash there from Dread. Great reaction to get away from the Seraphine ultimate and easily able to pick up that double kill. Mundo waiting in the wings down there as well, but Mytherium wasn't even needed. Jed and Data and the Honest 2v2 making it happen. Con Esports now up about 500 gold, but the Jinx got to be very, very far ahead in that isolated bot matchup.
I mean, just looking at the gold lead there, right?
That is disgusting.
It is absolutely insane. 3,000, of course, you know, it's the Seraphine and Senna bot lane, so you're kind of like, oh, who's really getting the gold? But Seraphine still being that far behind a Jinx, it's only 16 minutes into the game. Give that in mind. It's 16 minutes into the game, and that's a 3,000 gold lead for the Jinx in this bot lane. Though missing that one, the Fate Seal not connecting, Rock Grab barely not connecting either. A lot of these kill shots just going wide, sailing past. We're looking at this game, and we're really looking at how, if you're Brad Balster, how can you attack this backline? How can you get on top of Jed? Because if you can remove Jed, there goes all the gold for the side of Ron. But if you can't ever do anything about him, he's just going to continue to rampage throughout the Rift. So instead, they're looking to attack this top lane, looking for the kill play onto Sir Raven. But guess what's happening in mid lane? They're just toppling these structures, getting damage onto tier 2s, poking out a Yone and Seraphine underneath the turret, and they're just staying safe away from the 4-member strong of Con Esports.
Yeah, so Raven just going to hit him with the thumbs up. Hey, nice to see you, Echo. I'm glad you're here and not defending your mid lane right now. So absolutely, Con Esports starting to pull away in this one. They absolutely have so much more control right now over the map. As we have already discussed, the Jinx is ridiculously fed.
That was a super blast cone that got on top of on top of Data there. Tagging with the Hurricane as well, the Tornado connecting. They're going to get a killing spree for Hussal, at least getting some gold back, but that's not the person you want. You need to kill Jed. Jed is all important, all encompassing. If you cannot kill this Jinx, you're not winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get a little bit of extra gold there for the Yone. You know, once he does get towards that 2-item spike, then he can be a bit more threatening towards those backline carries, right? Assuming he can find the angle, but still a ways away from that point right now. And I want to go back actually to our soul discussion, as we are just under a minute out from that first Chemtech Dragon making its way onto the Rift. And you are absolutely right, of course, that it's not the best soul that Con Esports could have gotten, but I actually think that with the Mundo and the Uria here, both going to get an incredible amount of value from that, it is basically a win condition. I mean, I feel like if this Chemtech soul does go over, I just don't really think that Brad's is really going to be able to fight them anymore in the 5v5.
So yeah, that is true. That is true. But it's all about Azir and Jinx. Like, even if you can get Sir Rave and you can get Mytherium to this point where no CC is really going to do anything to them, you shouldn't be looking at them anyways. If you're using your CC on either of them in these fights, that means that Jed is not taking any of it. That means you don't have Hussal on the back line, you don't have Echo getting onto Jinx, you're not doing anything to stop her from going insane. She's already 7-2. This Dragon now getting taken. Smite fight, not even going to be attempted. It's going to be Echo onto the back line. Dawning Shadows helping heal out. That's what you need to do. Attack the Jinx. They got rid of her. And even if it's the peel back on looking for Echo, they couldn't get the kill. They can guide it back out. Tagging with a knockup. There's going to be efforts to bind. Hunting back 3. But Yone's still there. It's all Hussal getting the damage. Blitzcrank, the next target. The bot lane's gone. The Rampage is there. Azir is not going to be there anymore either because they already got this all unbound. Waiting for the lightning to crash down. And guess who shows up? Echo, the one who had been attacked at the very beginning, who survived it all. Got a kill at the end.
Brad Balster Gaming coming alive here. They do lose out on the Dragon, unfortunately. That did go over to Con Esports in the chaos. But they utilized the Herald. They got some pressure in the mid lane, so they managed to take down that mid-tier 1 on the back end of that play as well. And some much-needed gold, including that massive shutdown off the Jinx. I didn't quite catch who picked up the money from that one. Was it the Yone that got it?
I actually didn't quite catch that either.
It was either Yone or Vi.
I think it was... actually think it was Syntax who got that.
Oh, maybe it was Syntax, actually, yeah. Because he did come in there with the big Stormbringer as well. That's true. But either way, I mean, that was a very good look from Brad Balster. You know, they are up against the Chemtech Soul now in 3.5 minutes time.
Actually, it was M1. M1 got it.
Oh,
M1
no
got
kidding.
Yeah,
I might actually even be the best getting some gold for this Senna.
Yeah, it's, either for Senna or also I think would have been the best one. Just continue to have this Yone be a problem, be the one scaling into the game. But either way, it was a 4 for none trade there. They lost out on the dragon, sure, but you'll take that. You're getting much needed gold for yourself at this point in the game. And talking about how the scaling here for Brad Balster is about as good, if not equal, to that of Con Esports when we get to the 30-35 minute team fights here. And you're now getting these 2 item spikes. You got 2 items there for Onset, 2 items for Hassal. You got 2 items for Syntax. You're getting 2 items close for Echo and for M1. These are very important moments right now for Brad Balster that are keeping them at a better pace than that of Con Esports. Like, keep in mind, LL Cool J's, who was on Azir in game 1 and was the most important member in that game, is 0-3 here. He's really struggling up against the Sione matchup. It is a counter matchup, but the fact that this Azir is now falling so far behind means that he's only at that item and a half. He's not going to be quite as important here when we get these team fights that are happening in the mid lane, where he's got to... Where is he? In fact, he's top lane. Well, they've got the Encore to connect, and they even got the Cease and Desist. Looking for Kicks, dashing in. They're taking him down. Nobody can heal back. Nobody can get rid of Jet's attackers. As now Azir is going to be the one who TP'd only into his own doom. Mundo and Blitzcrank kiting away the best they can, but there is no escape for you. It is going to be more gold picked up by Brad Balster.
And that's going to be Baron, Magical. Another successfully executed dive by Brad Balster. They take out both carries. They've still got the health bars. They're going to get this Baron just like that. They're going to build this up to like a 5K plus gold lead. And they now are going to be the ones finding themselves in the driver's seat.
And see, this is where I was like, yeah, you know, getting all this gold, getting these early kills for Jet is great. But what happens when you have the team fights? What happens when the top lane that is winning, this Volibear, Vi, Yone, what happens when they start joining into these fights? Well, we're starting to see what's happening. Nobody can really peel back and keep Jet safe. They're struggling to get people off of Jinx. And if you can't get people off of Jinx, there goes all of your damage, all of your resources that you had poured into the spot lane.
Yeah, it was the Mega Blast Cone from Syntax. Got himself right on top of that Jinx before she could even react. Stunned her up, and that was that. The rest of the team able to pile in and take her down. Now, let's see what they're going to be able to get done with this Baron buff, because there is still this Chemtech Soul that, you know, while it might not be the most threatening.
Actually, this could be important. Getting a kill on Yone could be really big, but look at the damage!
Oh, wow.
1v4! Hassal still gets the kill. Jet just couldn't do enough, and even if it was gold picked up by Jinx, they've got this push in top lane. They've got Volibear waiting for the minions. Baron buff still there, so they've got to make something happen for Con Esports. They got to get some sort of gold elsewhere, because you're losing out on so many other places on the map.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting now from Con Esports. They're playing against the Baron, but able to get the...
Syntax is on the other side as well. That's going to be Cease and Desist into the back line with the Encore, the Wombo combo, CC efforts to fight, but the Storm's brought down onto the Emperor. With Dawning Shadows getting a heal. Udyr might have shown up, but look at the heals, the shields that keep it set alive, so M1 can guide it back. Mundo couldn't do anything as they get the killing spree for M1. Rocket, though, from Jet, at least getting a little bit back. That's going to be a TP in from Hassal to make sure this dragon will be picked up by Con Esports, so no soul just yet. Not going to get that at the moment.
Where Mundo is, he's still thinking about trying to move in here.
Well, look at what we have from Hassal. Trying to keep him away. That is going to be the dragon there, secured by Brad Balster, so no soul for Con Esports, still at 3. We have, I mean, the game is still fairly close. It's a 4,000 gold lead. You're at 25 into the game, but the fact that you still have this Jinx at 9-5, well, it is literally Jinx against the world. If Con Esports can figure out how to kite back for Jed, there is going to be a lot of struggles that Brad Balsters will have to contend against.
Yeah, definitely. Jeb closing in on that third item as well. Jinx, that's really, I think, when people tend to say that the hyper carry fantasy is online for this champion. Once you complete that third item, that's really when you have the potential to completely take over in these fights. But, I mean, so far, Brad Balster, they have been diving very, very successfully, even in that last fight as well. Unfortunately, teleport a little bit late from Sir Raven this time. Wasn't able to get in there and defend the team in time. But yeah, I mean, props to Brad Balster as they keep finding these angles.
And like I said, their composition does scale really well. When you have a Seraphine and a Yone on your team, you're going to be really difficult to deal with when you get to these later game team fights because you're not going to kill either of them. The heals that they're going to get from that Seraphine are going to keep them going through a lot of it. And then Volibear can eat up a lot of the damage that will come through from LL Cool J's and Jed. And now that you have that third item as the Jinx, that is a big power spike as you kind of called out there, Crewman. But again, I'm looking at this composition and looking at the other players on the team, the other members, and they are still far behind. LL Cool J has now completed that second item here on Azir, but 0-5 is really struggling to kind of keep up with the pace of the game.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the sweeps from the Azir have still been pretty good, but absolutely right that LL Cool's not really been able to find any of these kills, and therefore is starting to fall a little bit behind in terms of his overall
kills
power
or
level.
even assists, not even getting gold from
Yeah.
that. Like, the scoops have been okay, but where's the damage? They're just lacking that damage from the Azir that can then set up Jed to get these resets, to continue to be a menace in these team fights, to be the one that's popping off. And all you need is that one kill, right? Work on Esports, the resets, then it's hard to get on top of this Jinx. She can kite back herself. She doesn't really need that, but she needs that help in the first place.
Yeah, and we can see the armor getting stacked up on the side of Brad Balster as well. You know, the unending despair, as well as that, I forget the name of that mana. Thimblewinter, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of armor for Syntax, and then even for Echo as well. You know, the steel caps as well as that steel sigil is potentially going to be building into a Death's Dance or a GA. Is going to be a decent amount of armor on that Vi as well. So Azir really is going to need to do at least a little bit of work to help Jed get these health bars down, get that first kill for the Jinx so she can get excited and take it over.
Because the game has stalled out a little bit between the two squads. And unlike in the last game where I was kind of calling out, being like, all right, Brad Balster, you need to continue the pace of the game. I think it's okay for the game to kind of stall out for them at this point. Don't really need to go for anything too crazy. Just kind of be calm and collected. Get some of these big important spikes. Like, they've got 3 items now for Yone. They would like to get that third item for Echo before some of these fights that happen, but they don't have to. It's more about getting vision control. We got 45 seconds until the Baron will spawn. A minute and a half until the next potential dragon that could give a soul for Con Esports is there. And that means that you have time to wait. You have time to kind of wait in this game and not have to do anything at the moment.
Yeah, they're going to be able to play it patiently for now. A little bit more gold for the Azir, right? He's got his Blighting Jewel now, so it looks like it's going to be the Void Staff third for LL.
Yeah.
1 minute to go. We got all these teleports.
I wouldn't be opposed to Grip Bloom. Oof. Man, LL Cool J is just taking a lot of damage right there. 2 levels behind Yone.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, definitely. It's tradable ultimates between the mid laners there. Those, I believe, should be just about off cooldown for the dragon fight, or pretty close to it at least.
Yeah, I would imagine that the Fate Seal will be up for it for sure. Empress Divide, it's not that long of cooldown either, so probably will be, but we already see that the movements are coming in from Brad Balster to try to play around the top half of the map. They have TP here for Syntax. They can push in the spot lane and maybe try to bait in a fight, but with Yone, Pasol almost getting caught out. Does decide to snap out of the soul. Looking for the back line, but the TP's not going to help out this Yone. He's going to die before anybody can save his life. So that TP in from Udyr means that the rest of the Con, they've got the pick onto Yone. They can peel back for this Baron.
They are going to look for the Baron. Yeah, they don't care about the Chemtech, so the Baron is the bigger prize. They are going to look to take that one down instead. You know, the Chemtech is going to be... Oh, yeah, and the side of Brad Balster are just not anywhere close to being in position to contest this one. So they're just going to get their Consolation Chemtech Dragon. I think there might have been a tier 2 in the mid lane as well that did get taken down by M1. Or maybe that was already gone, I'm not entirely sure. But...
M1 got it. M1 got the mid lane tier 2. But I think for the side of Com, that's perfect. They get themselves this. There's a lot of that Constellation gold they can pick up on the map. Keep in mind, this was about a 4,000 gold lead that had been there for Brad Balsters for quite some time. It has shrunk a little bit. It's not, you know, completely gone. It's still 2,000 gold lead, but that's still getting these important items, these important stacks now for the side of Con Esports. Like, if they can get a 4th item for Jed, you talk about 3rd item being all important for Jinx. Imagine a 4th item when it comes to the next team fight.
Magical, this is interesting. We just had somebody mention in Twitch chat that Mundo has the serrated Dirk currently in inventory. Is that part of the Magical Mundo playbook?
It depends. It does depend. Not with the build that you're going there as Ethereum, but I do like it for if you do get your 1 auto attack on, or if you get the minions pushed. It is going to do a lot, but right now taking a lot of damage for that, as you can see.
Oh, look at the
Echo
Jinx.
is looking for the back line, and guess who's there? The flash away, but they're chasing down Jed. Looking for the pull back in. The snap damage did enough, as Echo did fall as well. 1 for 1 at the moment. Azir's going to be the next target, but he puts up the Sun Disc, not helping out. Well, there's only tanks left here for Con Esports, and they will be cut to cinders here. Everybody falling. Only Data will survive. The only Baron buff that will remain.
Brad Balster Gaming once again execute on the dive. It's Echo's Vi that sets it up, point and click on Jinx's head, and Wasal was there to follow up and take down that carry right in Con Esports' moment of triumph as they secured the Baron. They're pushing on the enemy base. Once again, their carry gets taken down, and now it's Brad Balster looking for the Nexus and to take us to game 3.
Yeah, you got 5 seconds left until Jed's gonna be up. At least Data's doing the best they can to get rid of the minions, so they're not going to actually have the debuff onto the turrets. So Jed getting a little bit of damage. Now they're peeling back to get the kill onto Data. Data should die here, but still getting pretty far away, keeping a lot of distance. So it's just a lot of time wasted on the side of Brad Balster that will give momentary relief for Con Esports.
Wow, Data heroically there, saving the game for Con Esports. Really heads up from the Blitzcrank, identifying that the only way to keep this one going is to cut off the minion wave. Is able to accomplish that. I'm a little bit surprised that Brad Balster weren't also able to identify that and turn on the Blitzcrank a little bit sooner. They just thought that they were going to be able to take down those Nexus turrets, and they thought they could just ignore him, but that was not the case, and the game will actually continue. 2 minutes now on the next Chemtech Dragon is going to be slightly offset with the next Baron spawn.
Yeah, just slightly, but not by much, so I wouldn't expect to see either team really looking for a fight until then. Just get some vision control on the other side, wait it out. We do see that Ethereum still holding on to that serrated Dirk and then a pickaxe, actually. Kind of interesting. You're definitely not a part of my build path here. At this point in the game, you just want to get tankiness. You want to survive the best you can. Unending despair would be what I would have called for here out of Ethereum, but wanting a little bit more damage as now bot lane. Sir Raven getting attacked by both M1 and Hustle, but we'll get back out of there. Still fairly tanky with that Jack show as well. So it is going to be this tier 2 siege by Brad Balster. It's not a very safe one to defend, and if you're Con Esports, you give it up.
Yeah, pretty easy call there. It was good rotation, good movements there from Brad Balster. They had a lot of control over this bot lane at that moment. A lot of members in the area, and as you say, it's just a little bit too dangerous to defend that tier 2 at this point in the game. Yeah, that's a choice.
Huh.
There are a lot of shields. You know, pretty much everybody actually has a shield.
Yeah, it just says Mundo. That's the only thing.
Yeah, no, it's a bit strange.
Bit strange, but here we go. All right, we're going to have the siege here at this inhibitor turret in the bot lane, waiting for the supers to push up. This is where it is a bit of a struggle for Brad Balster. Their composition is pretty low range, so they have to continue to look for these fights, continue to try to jump onto the back line as they got a little bit of damage onto Mundo on the other side. Not taking up too much themselves, having both Seraphine Senna, the heals and shields they'll get anytime there's any even threat under their back line, means that they'll just stay very safe in this bot lane. As Syntax getting away, cutting away, no rocket grabs connecting, a lot of damage onto Mundo, throws out a cleaver, not connecting it. So instead, Brad Balster just going to go back to the play, continue to push in the spot lane.
What a close game we have on our hands now. I mean,
That's a big pull on Seraphine. Encore's going to be thrown the wrong way.
Oh, no.
Connecting on Udyr. And keep in mind, Hustle had back. This is going to be horrible for Brad Balster. Perfect timing there. Data, collecting the data. And it's going to be Vi running away. But all he needs is one more cleaver and the kill from Ethereum.
Yeah, Echo desperately trying to get away there, burn the flash, try and stay alive. The rest of the team is looking at...
Backdoor here attempted. Hustle is in the base. It's going to be a back as well. They already got Raven in the pit, but now it's going to be Mundo. Ethereum was trying to deny the dragon going over to the other side, but it's going to be one Nexus turret falling. No! It's defended there by Con Esports.
Oh my God. Wasal, I mean, you gotta respect that one, right? The cojones to just make that call is like, guys, I know we're trying to burn this dragon down right now, and I know they're on the way, but let me just teleport into the base real quick, see if I can end the game. He was pretty close, but the response was very quick from Con Esports as well. They sent pretty much everybody back to defend that last Nexus turret, except for Matherium, who unfortunately did go down as he was still trying to do something about the dragon with no jungler for the side of Con Esports. They're looking to burn this Baron down anyway by just respawn.
They burn it down too fast. There's no way.
Yeah.
It's just they take it so quickly here. They can be spotted out. They get it. They'll be back. The only thing that could have possibly been done there by Brad Balster is maybe use the TPs from Syntax and Onset to take down a tier, the inhibitor turret in the bot lane. But outside of that, there was no real stopping that. It's just a Jinx and a Zir late game on top of an objective. 4 items now for Jett. You're not stopping that going down unless you're already all there.
For sure, yeah. It just melted way too quickly for the side of Brad Balster to get over there in time. So that is going to be another Baron over to Con Esports. But Magical, we remember what happened last time they got Baron, and it wasn't good for Con Esports.
Look at how they're positioning right now. They're looking to get on a Jett. That's pretty much the prime target. The only target is Jinx. You kill Jinx, you win the game. Even if LL Cool J has been slowly getting these items back for Azir, the flash in gets the flash away from Senna. But keep in mind, look at the whole time, Echo was on the other side threatening this back line. So they had to put down the Sun Disc, getting a little bit of damage on to the inhibitor turret, sieging it the best they can. Cannon minion, and with the low range on the other side, it does take a long time for them to clear, so it's going to get one threshold. Might actually be able to topple this structure. They're waiting for Syntax, waiting for maybe even Hustle to get into this back line. Anybody to get on top of the Jinx. The turret's gonna fall though. Nothing done by Brad Balster as they're the ones running away, not attempting to attack this back line like they had been doing so successfully beforehand. Inhibitor so low to fall down as well. The double canyon, they should actually be able to get that just a couple more autos, but the minions actually making sure that the inhibitor will stand.
Yeah, I mean, the Sun Disc doing a lot of work here for Con Esports, preventing the side of Brad Balster from going for that same play where they dive in towards the backline, right? But the Azir turret will now fall, and Con Esports still on the offensive.
Still on the offensive, want to get that inhibitor for themselves. As it's going to be Echo, looking for the backline. It's all on Jinx. That's all we talk about.
Wow.
Got rid of Jinx, and there goes one kill onto Echo as well. Waiting for any bit of damage from Azir, but the dash in, Stormbringer chasing it down. Double kill for M1. Everyone here on Con Esports getting ripped apart. And this is what we talked about. Attack the Jinx, win the game. And that is going to be Brad Balster's game to win.
That was all they needed. That's all they were waiting for. They were just waiting for that Azir turret to go down. And the second that it did, and Con Esports still didn't back away, that was the moment for Brad Balster to go in. Once again, it was Echo starting that one off. Gets in there, clicks on the Jinx, does have to sacrifice himself, but I think that's a trade he'll take to take down the entire enemy team and this second Nexus.
Yeah, that Nexus turret's not going to stand. Not enough time there for Con Esports to get back in. Brad Balsters might not have gone to Game 3 before, but they will today to try to take down the undefeated Con Esports.
First 3-game match of the series for Brad Balster Gaming, and honestly, a well-deserved chance here to take the win tonight. Really just playing to the strengths of their composition, able to identify exactly what they needed to do to win the game. And they made it happen several times, over and over again. Con Esports just not able to keep Jett alive no matter what they did.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very well done. That's pretty much the game plan, right? You attack that Jinx, you get rid of the hyper carry, and there's no hyper carry to carry. So Brad Balster taking us to Game 3. We're going to toss it at a break so we can get ready for that third game. I'm excited for that. We'll find out whether or not Brad Balster can upset Con Esports, or if it's going to be Con Esports still taking the series in Game 3. So make sure you stick around after this break. back into the Blue Otter League for our Diamond League. We are into Game 3. Unprecedented here for Brad Balster Gaming. But they got us here after taking that Game 2 victory against Con Esports. And now we get into the draft here, crewman. And we get to see how the draft is changing. And it's funny, some things change a lot and some things don't change at all. As all three of the bans here for Brad Balster, the exact same. The only adaptation we're seeing is Con Esports taking away Vi.
Ah, yes, they're finally going to force Echo onto something else. The Jarvan's still open. That is another pick that he has been known to go for from time to time. I wonder if Brad Balster are going to want to prioritize that early on, try and prevent more of these jungle bans from coming through, or if they have another plan. Some of the prio picks in the earlier games was the Senna and the Jinx have both been very highly prized. That is something new.
Ooh, Kaisa. Okay. Really changing it up, so not going to have that same bot lane that we've been seeing. More indicative that they want to continue to attack this backline. Say, all right, you want to play that Jinx again? You want to go for that bot lane once more? Try it, and we'll see what happens. But they decided to change it a little bit, as they're going to get Ashe and then Volibear for themselves, actually taking that away. This is kind of what I was expecting in Game 2. I was saying there's a possibility that they take away the Volibear Con Esports, but they do decide it here in Game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that the Kaisa lines up with the playstyle that Brad Balster have been going for so far tonight. It is going to allow you to follow up on that dive very easily, so I think that can definitely look good. And then the Ashe is actually something that we have, I believe, seen the Con 80 carry pilot in the past as well. Yeah, Jed had an 11-3-14 Ashe game last week against Elysium Dawn.
All right, Ashe is one of those picks I think that people really do sleep on. Like, she does have at least in the 80 carry role, everyone always thinks of her as a support, like with how she's been for quite some time. But I think still as an ADC, still does a lot for the team. And Ashe Zyra bot lane, that is a brutal lane to be if you're Kaisa.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kaisa not really a very strong laner in the first place, and you are going to get pretty heavily outranged and potentially poked out by the Ashe Volley and these Zyra plants. So definitely could be very difficult. Not entirely sure what the support is going to be alongside the Kaisa. It could be the Nico, but we can't be sure just yet, as the Jarvan that I mentioned earlier is going to get banned away by Khan.
Yeah, take away Jarvan, take away Zac. See some things that are kind of similar that we were seeing before, but Azir getting banned away too against LL Cool J's. Very interesting. I'm expecting it's still going to be a Nico mid lane, and then Syndra also going to be banned here. Really trying to attack that mid lane pool. And I'm looking at what Brad Balster can get here, and I'm looking, even if it's going to struggle, like the lane phase will definitely not be fun, but having something like a Nautilus for the late game, for this team fights, to able to attack the backline will be really nice. But we're going to have a very spicy top lane. Aatrox versus Fiora top lane matchup.
Yeah, that is definitely a skill matchup, right? Can go either way. Aatrox should be a little bit stronger early on, but Fiora can still outplay him with the riposte if you time that right with the sweet spots. So definitely, if one of those top laners finds themselves with a big lead, that could heavily impact the flow of this game. That is an interesting one for sure.
That's a Hecarim. A Hecarim is going to struggle against a Zyra and Ashe here. But that is a wild pick here from Brad Balster. Really kind of going for some crazy plays. They're saying, Game 3, let's pull out all the stops here, especially with all the bans that have been levied at the jungle. But is that technically 5 because attack still something that can go jungle role. But we're saying that actually you might have called it right on the money. That is going to be a Nico support, and they're going to flex the Nico bot lane.
Yeah, they sure will. So we'll have to see how that Kaisa Nico lane does go. Nico support, it does kind of allow the Nico in some situations to be very surprising in her map movements, right? On those base timings, you can sort of make your presence felt in some of these other lanes even early on. And surprise Nico popping up out of nowhere can certainly be impactful in the right situation. As you mentioned, Yone going to come through once again. And wanted to kind of really quickly, as we do see the Cassio here on R5, that's going to be matching up against the Yone in the mid lane.
And I like Cassiopeia. Another one of those picks that I think just doesn't get used enough by enough players, especially against something like a Yone. where he wants to dash in, he wants to try to get on top of you, and Cassiopeia's like, okay, cool, that's actually fine by me. I'll put my asthma down so you're not going to escape too easily. I'm going to get all this damage onto you for free. And then by the time you're like, okay, now I'm on top of Cassiopeia, you're already down to like 25% health.
Yeah, definitely. The Cassio can have some very favorable interactions with the Yone, right? The fact that the Yone can be a bit telegraphed when he goes for the Soul Unbound. You know, Cassio can just drop the Miasma on that return location, and then the Yone is not going to have very many options once he does return to his body. But it can be dangerous for the Cassio as well, right? You're relatively short range, and if the Yone does manage to get on top of you, definitely can do some work there.
Alrighty, but this is game 3. We got some spicy picks here going into game 3. I'm excited about that. But I'm going to toss it to a break so we can get ready for this third game. Find out who will win. Can Brad Balster upset Con Esports and take over that number 2 slot? Or will Con Esports continue to thrive and be undefeated? Find out after a short break. welcome back in. It is game 3 here in our Diamond League for Blue Otter League, and I'm Mad Magical, joined in by crewmen, and we will have one team be victorious here. Will it be Brad Balster Gaming, or will it be Con Esports? Could have the upset. We got an upset already with Brad Balster getting to 3 games in the first place, crewman.
Indeed, indeed. And now we have one more Nexus to decide the battle for second place here, cresting the halfway point of the regular season in Season 11. Very exciting stuff. And once again, it seems like these teams have pretty much drafted, towards the same styles that they've been playing all night long. We got a lot of dive once again over on the side of Brad Balster. We do have Syntax now piloting their most played champion this game in the Aatrox, so that is going to be exciting to see. And on the other side, for Con Esports, it does feel like they do have obviously very strong team fighting still, but they have gone for some more aggressive options in a number of positions here for this game number 3.
It feels like Con Esports definitely are. They have some scaling, right? Cassiopeia, Fiora, going to be great at scaling. Same with Ashe. People kind of forget about that as well. But definitely much more skirmish heavy with both teams. Like really looking to rumble early into the game, try to get to these spikes. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have a very bloody game between the two. If we see by like maybe like 15 minutes into the game, if we already have each team having 15 kills.
Yeah. I mean, I think if games 1 and 2 have been any indication, we can't expect that. And then with these compositions layered on top of that, Magical, I think absolutely right. Could be an absolute bloodbath here in game number 3. We do see our junglers starting on opposite sides of the map this time around, their respective blue buffs.
And nothing too fancy. As kind of was looking at the junglers thing where they might attack, but bot lane, the flash in from Data early on. And it's funny, they went for this Ashe Zyra composition. They were the ones saying, all right, we want to go for the early potential to bully you, to be the ones that are getting these leads. But it was actually Con Esports here. Onset and M1 getting, Brad Balster getting the early lead here against Con Esports by forcing them away early.
Yeah, CC landing from the Nico and not from the Zyra so far is going to give that Brad Balster bot lane the advantage for the first few minion waves as Echo coming into the mid lane.
Looking for Cool Jace, and no way out of that one. Doesn't even bother flashing. First blood. Big dive by Hwassel.
Second game in a row on the Yone. Off to a fantastic start here, picking up that first blood. Cassiopeia does have the teleport. It's going to be able to make it back to the lane in time to pick up that full minion wave. Not going to lose out on any gold or experience, but that is definitely a great start for Brad Balster.
Yeah, I mean, you'll love that right there, getting this Yone ahead early. Gonna really punish the mobility that Cassiopeia is going to have early into the game. And the fact that Cool Jace did hold on to the flash, I think is going to kind of be the saving grace there. The fact that you aren't going to be as easily attacked again. Like, you could see Echo go back into the mid lane, could see them try once more, but the fact that that flash is still there, you're kind of like, yeah, let's look for somewhere else. Maybe let's look for that bot lane, try to really punish Jet and Data early onto the game, get Onset and M1 often early lead, or maybe just continue to put your stock into Hwassel and get this Yone ahead like you did before, because it looks like with M1 in the mid lane, we'll do just that, as that flash is already burned from Cassiopeia.
There it goes. Surprise Nico. Just like we were talking about coming out of the draft. This is M1 making an impact on the map very early on. And the advantage for the Yone in that mid lane matchup starting to grow a little bit.
Whoa, hello. Look at bot lane, Echo in the back line, and guess who's there again? M1, the surprise Nico. They never suspected an Onset with a beautiful snipe.
Oh, man, yeah. Con Esports are really going to have to start expecting this at some point. If they want to have a close game here in game number 3. M1 been extremely active so far.
And
really
funny,
making their presence
no kills
felt.
or assists either, but has done so much just with 2 plays there. Getting all these summoners burn. And you got to feel bad for M1 not getting any credit on that one, just because that was 2 good plays back to back.
Definitely was. You know, the credit is theoretically going to be the team win if that does end up coming through.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And getting your early leads here. Hwassel already getting that Vampiric Scepter up against LL Cool Jace, who's sitting on a Sapphire Crystal. It's here, the Goddess, hoping to stack that up and already having to recall because how much damage had been done by
yeah.
us all in the solo lane, then bot lane too. We're seeing that they're already they're going for the call here out of onset and just be like, yeah, we're not expecting this lane to be too interactive anymore. Just scale up, try to get to those first items here earlier on into the game so we can snowball out of control when we get to these skirmishes, like we're seeing a little bit of a skirmish in this top lane against Syntax and Sir Raven flashing forward for 2. Beautiful. Mwah.
Oh man, Syntax just dunked him. Brad, both that is, I mean, that's an Aatrox main right there. That's what we're looking at, guys. Syntax able to make it happen. He's like, guys, just get me off the tanks, please. I promise I'll make something happen. And by God, he's doing it.
Yeah, and it's not normally a pretty difficult matchup here, the Aatrox into Fiora, because Fiora has many ways to kind of stop Aatrox from landing a lot of the CC, landing a lot of that damage, but I think Syntax did a perfect job there. Had already gotten the riposte out, new flash was not available, had held on to that the entire time, so was able to easily pick up that kill, which means that Echo gets the Void Grubs, they get that early. Mid lane though, that was a nice petrifying gaze to pick up a kill on the Hustle. And that's kind of what we talked about, the difficulty that you're going to have as Yone up against Cassiopeia.
Really nice from LL Cool Jace there to set up that play. Just easily able to identify that Wasal was going to go in for that aggressive trade. Pulls out the Cassio ultimate with the jungler waiting right there, ready to go for the follow-up. And that is going to be Con Esports getting themselves on the board. Their first kill of game number 3.
Probably one of the best spots to have it, too, is going to be LL Cool Jace on this Cassiopeia, as they had been struggling beforehand. And you are looking at this itemization from Cassiopeia, is going to look for the Roa first, but a nice flash there. A nice flash from Aquarium. Get away. I think. No. Shield.
Oh, my God.
Sky Splitter shield. It could have gotten close. I was kind of looking at that. I'm like, all right, depends on how far they chase. I think because Echo had fallen back out of that one, they're like, all right, not actually going to pick up the kill. At least getting Mytherium off of the map does give a little bit of time for Echo to kind of get some vision control over the bottom quadrant.
Yone, man. Mytherium flashes away, still almost dies. Thankfully, the bear will survive. But Wasal definitely feeling confident, even after that death, still looking to put on the pressure here towards the mid side of the map.
And you have this window until LL Cool Jace completes the Roa, completes the Seraph's Embrace. You're actually not going to have much you can do here. And speaking of which, no petrifying gaze there from Cassiopeia. I thought they actually would continue to attack that, but I guess they're just so threatened there by the miasma, they decide to fall back and still can't pick up this kill. And this is just giving that window, giving this time to Con Esports into this mid lane to get to that point where all they have to do is get that one item for Cassiopeia. And she's going to be absolutely insane. Speaking of insane, top lane, we're looking at Sir Raven Beard back in. Tries to get away, just couldn't. Echo picks up the kill credit for it.
I guess the Fiora just didn't have the riposte there. It looked like Echo was trying to bait it out at first.
Oh, hello. Petrifying gaze again. Landing. Trying to heal up, but the burn's not enough there from the poison. This time, M1 does get kill credit, at least with that assist.
LL Cool J's made it pretty close there. Yone actually also almost going down, but was
like
all.
I said, this is all without the Roa. Like that's how important Roa is here. Just having Roa will literally make it so that LL Cool J will win those 1v2s every time. Just you get a good petrifying gaze, and that the amount of damage you get from Twin Fangs is so good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something to continue looking out for as we continue down in this game. Remember, it was the R5 Cassio, right? So clearly, LL Cool Jace looking at the entire enemy composition, liked the angle here.
It's really good into pretty much every one of them, right? Every one of them wants to dash into you, so you put down Miasma, and suddenly they can't dash in or away.
Yeah, pretty powerful, especially against a dive comp like this, as you say, Magical, absolutely right. As the Volibear looking to do a little bit of counter jungling right now, is potentially looking to get a dive set up on this Aatrox with a big wave crashing as well, but Hecarim also in the area.
They have the chance there because the World Ender wasn't there. So they are looking for this. Onslaught of Shadows isn't up either. Grand Challenge has been laid out with the movement speed from Hecarim trying to get away, but the flash in. Nico not in time, even with the Pop Blossom and the Fate Seal, sealing the fate there of the God Volibear. That's a riposte trying to stop the fight, but they've already got the snapback double kill for Syntax.
Wow. I mean, nice that they're at least able to get the Heck Rim, but M1, the difference maker, once again, with the moves across the map on the Nico, gets a double kill for his top laner, but...
Oh, good flash there from Jed, but a good flash away from Onset, throwing out the Void Seekers, and now you're on the wrong side. Nico throwing out the Bursting Bloom for the kill with the Ignite, does take down the ADC, but Heckram chugging his way into the bot lane, and the Shadows Onslaught getting the kill there for M1.
Finally, well-deserved last hit for M1 in this game. Carry Nico finally getting paid for all of her efforts. And that is going to give some control over this bot side river over to the side of Brad Balster. We got a dragon spawning in just about 15 seconds here. I'm sure they're going to be looking to secure that objective as well. Kaisa on her way back to lane. Yone should be able to get mid control.
It should be fine. And kind of looking at this top lane too, that Sir Raven falling behind pretty bad in this top lane. 3-0 now for Syntax with the Tiamat built up, has gotten the Ninja Tabbies or, you know, play the Steel Caps, whatever you want to call them. And probably going to go for that Profane Hydra in this top lane to really put the pain back on to Sir Raven. With both of them having TP, you can see that they're trying to skirmish on the top side to make sure there's not going to be the TP play into the Dragon Pit. 2-level lead for the Aatrox. The pull in with the Infernal Chains. World Ender has been popped. There's no challenge in this top lane for Aatrox.
Yeah, I mean, Syntax is a massive problem at this point that Con Esports are going to have to find some way of dealing with. And this is the risk.
It's real, right? It's like, how do you deal with them?
I mean, you got to send everybody, I think, at this point. And, you know, I don't even know if it's worth it at that point. You know, I'm not going to pretend to, like, I'm not actually suggesting that as a play right now. But I think that's what you would need.
It's the only play you have if you want to win the game.
I mean, I'm saying that's the only play you have if you want to kill Aatrox.
Oh, right now, actually, Sir Raven might have been a level down. The Grand Challenge laid out. I like what Syntax is doing, though. Standing next to the wall to make sure that Vital couldn't be proc. But the flash in did not connect the Darkened Blade. Sky Splitter raining down the Thunder shutdown for Sir Raven.
Okay, I was wrong. Apparently, you actually only need 2 people. And all Volibear really did there was land 1 E.
2 people, and Syntax is set on a lot of gold. Syntax,
well,
I think, had something like 2,000 gold at that point. And so now, top lane, Onslaught of Shadows will pick up a return kill. Solo Bolo there for Echo. So kind of making this all worthwhile. Since now it's the recall essentially gifted over to Syntax with that death. You had to go back and get that Profane Hydra. You know, oh, I guess if I have to buy items. Now you can TP back into the top lane. They'll have control. It's a 4-1 Aatrox against a 2-5 Fiora. Yes, Ravenous Hydra has been completed by Sir Raven, but you're not really surviving against Syntax in this lane, and that's why I would be surprised if we even saw Sir Raven go back to the top lane to like contest this wave.
He's gonna finish that turret.
Yeah, the turret's gonna die before you get there. So honestly, if anything, you try to maybe take your own Krugs there. Just take those to get anything, because the grub should be taken by Brad Balsters at this point. Like, I don't think you can test this if you're Con Esports.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. I think it would just be a little bit too difficult. They don't have...
Gaze. Fate sealed, but they got Volibear on the other side, flashing forward. Pop Blossom only connecting onto the Volibear, but they do get the root with the Tangled Barbs. Not the arrow, though, does whiff a little bit with Aatrox. Popping the World Ender, and yes, who he's looking for, the flash away from the snake, but then turning back for the bear. So at least he'll get some NT.
Oh, it's M1 again, man. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I know Aatrox is really fed. He's looking pretty flashy up there in the top lane, but I've already filled out my POG card magical. It's M1 this game at the side of Brad Balster.
Literally tanking more than Echo. It is and Echo has more kill participation technically than M1. Yet I feel like M1's been more all over the map.
Yeah, the fact that he's been finding, they did end up giving up the bot tier 1. So that is the cost, right, for having your support make all of these proactive plays all over the map, is you do end up giving over some gold to the enemy bot lane. So,
yeah,
you know, that is...
If you look at the gold, right, it's not that much. Like, look at this. Your same gold for Onset and Jed. You have more gold for M1 over Data.
Yeah.
So you really haven't lost out that much. And that, because the turret's been taken, yeah, it's going to be a long lane. But I always like to say, it's like, you take these turrets, and if you get them early enough into the game, you can help snowball the rest of the game, right? But if the other turrets are still up for the enemy, that means there's ambient gold that they can pick up later. So if they make a
True.
good play later into the game, they can get that gold and they can bounce back. And that's normally bouncing back. You have a 4,000 gold lead right now for Brad Balster's gaming. So that would just be continuing to get things more out of control now for Con Esports.
Yeah, I mean, the risk is if the Nico's plays didn't actually end up working out, right, while you are going for those cross maps. But the fact that they did work out means that I think Brad Balster can be very, very happy with the way the game has been progressing so far.
And I think we've learned something. At least
What's
two
that?
things. Maybe three things.
Okay.
Maybe three things. So first one, obviously, syntax. Like, we understand, we knew the bans, we knew the one, you know, being a main on Aatrox, how bad it was going to be in the first place. But it's even worse than I expected. it's even more so. Like, syntax really showing up in this game against Sir Raven. The next is M1 Nico. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Definitely.
And then the third thing is the fact that I'm still looking at Cassiopeia, who now has Rod of Ages, and I wonder, like, I've learned that Cassiopeia could already without that 1v2, and so now with this, I wonder if she can 1v3.
Yeah, I mean, LL Cool J, so it's our game 1 POG, right, in the game that Con Esports did win.
Wait, did we give a POG in game 2?
We actually did not get around to it.
We should
I know
probably
who
give
my
one.
vote would have gone for.
Who would have been?
I would have given it over to Echo, who was playing the Vi and is caught out right now.
Right, I was gonna say right there. That's that damage coming in from Cassiopeia. So that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of work there. You know, Echo and I think I'd give it like in tandem. It was a dual effort because Plus All and Echo, I think both of them worked really well in that last game. So I'd give them both players of the game with how they played. But we'll have to see this game because this game ain't over just yet. As we saw right there with the kill on to Echo, allowing the dragon stacking, which has kind of been going under the radar here for Con Esports. They're now at their third dragon already into this game. Well, yes, the Void Grubs, the Rift Heralds had been secured by Echo on the top half. Bottom half of this map, with all the movements that M1 had been going for, allowed control to be given over to Con Esports. So now they're one away from getting themselves a Cloud Soul. As Therium was getting attacked there. Echo making sure that recall wasn't so easy for the ball there.
Yeah, we've just had a lot of other stuff to talk about. Really magical is why we hadn't really been able to touch on the Soul situation just yet. But the fact that Con Esports are now on Cloud Soul point, definitely very big. You know, as far as the champions that they have in this composition, I think it's going to be most valuable on the Fiora and the Volibear, which does make it a little bit unfortunate that they are so far behind.
I'd say because Cassiopeia, like, the movement speed she can get, like, throughout the fights, especially because, you know, snakes don't wear boots, it's actually kind of nice for, like, the top half of the map here. Like you said, though, I do agree. It is a bit unfortunate. Mytherium and Sir Raven are far behind. But there is a point that you get into this game, as both Volibear and Fiora, that even if you're falling behind, it's kind of like what we talked about with Mundo before. You can fall behind all you want, but you'll just get to a point in the game where you catch up in items and you're just a menace in a side lane. Where that even Syntax is going to struggle to deal with you, because Syntax going for the lethality Aatrox build, which is kind of typical. If you don't kill Sir Raven instantly, then this Fiora will completely turn around these 1v1s.
Yeah, 100%. You know, given enough time, Sir Raven can still become that huge side lane threat that you're talking about. As once again, Sneaky Nico.
Hey, what's that minion doing there?
Where's that minion going? It's lost.
Hey.
I was going back into the mid lane.
Minion. It's definitely not a Nico going into the river. No way.
No, it couldn't be. But yeah, as we were saying, Sir Raven, you know, looking for that second completed item, does have the heal cut already purchased as well, which is going to be really valuable. We do, of course, see that also for the Aatrox, which makes sense also into the Fiora. But it's going to take a little bit of time still, but Sir Raven will definitely eventually get there. And the question now really does become, what are Brad Balster going to be able to do in 2.5 minutes time when the next Cloud Dragon spawns?
I mean, you're really going to have to keep the whole team together. You still have... Oh, actually, wait. Did they already use the Rift Herald?
It seems that they did, yes. I actually also missed that. I'm not quite sure where Shelly ended up.
Yeah, it's like... Maybe it was mid lane, because that was a lot of damage. But I was about to say, you kind of need to have Syntax a part of these fights, because that is where all your gold really is. 2,000 gold lead in this top half of the map. And yeah, it's 1,000 gold lead for the jungle, but it's really on Syntax. Like, the hype, who's going to be the big hype carry in these
Hmm.
fights. Not hyper carry,
Definitely.
just hype carry, because he's got a lot of damage that he's going to do. And if he's not a part of these fights, it is going to be close. And I could see Con Esports, especially around this dragon that's going to spawn here in about 2 minutes' time, that they can force a fight with Syntax not a part of it and win.
Yeah, 100%. Brad Balsters need the Aatrox to be there for that next dragon fight. Both top laners do have the teleport available right now, but I would actually like to see Syntax move down and join up with the rest of the team a little bit more in advance, right? Just to make sure that they can get control over the area and try to ensure that the side of Con Esports aren't going to be able to sneak their way into that South River.
Yeah, I agree. And we already see the recall coming in from Syntax. Had about 1,000 gold in the inventory. You could look for these recalls now. The minute's time left. Look for control around the dragon because you have to deny that. People can argue Cloud Dragon this, it's not the greatest and stuff. But as we kind of talked about, it does work out really well for some of the champions here on Con Esports. So if you're giving over a soul, and a soul's a soul, that's still extra stats that are given over to your opponent, where you have about a 4,500 gold lead, you have to pretty much take off 1,000 from that because just those extra stats will make up for some of the deficit they have here. And with Cassiopeia, LL Cool J's, having the Seraph's Embrace, Rod of Ages almost completed there, getting all 10 stacks. These are important spikes that are coming through for Con Esports that could allow them to actually fight pretty effectively 4v4. And we are even seeing right there, Ethereum getting a little bit of damage back on Echo, keeping him away just because they want to set up control around the dragon.
Hecarim did manage to secure that Scuttle Crab, actually pretty big, to try to help ensure Brad Balster are going to be able to control this bot side river. But absolutely right about the Cassio being very strong now at this point in the game. LL Cool J still looking at him as maybe the difference maker for the side of Khan. I think Sir Raven is all right up here.
Should be all right. Nico, your ward that was moving. Yeah, I hope you know M1 that there's a reason why Ethereum knew that was you're a moving ward. That don't happen too often, at least not in my games.
Very unusual. That's not all right.
That's going to be the grand challenge. Tried to get that last vital, but beautifully done from Syntax. Just hugging that wall to make sure there's no vital proc. Now you have that TP advantage. You have this Aatrox who can join in, but he's not even going to bother. He's going to go for the recall so he can heal up, then TP in. As the arrow does not connect. Volibear in the pit. Keep in mind that's going to be the TP behind them. They've spotted him out, getting a little bit of damage. Pop Blossom not connecting onto anybody, but the Sky Spider helping to get a kill onto M1. Oyone fate sealed onto Cassiopeia. Having to snap back though. Took a little bit too much damage, realizing that you were way too far out with the rest of the team. Not there. Smite control. Given over to Echo. Denying the soul for now.
Wasall not able to finish anybody off with the fate sealed there, but ultimately just committing that ability was enough to push back Con Esports and buy enough time for the rest of the team to take down the objective. So now, Brad Balster able to secure their first Cloud Dragon. We've already discussed Magical, how powerful.
Onslaught Shadows, that's just going to be a kill. There's no way you get out of that one, Jed. But, you know, it's funny. We were talking about this and that for the Cloud Soul for Con Esports, right?
Right.
But there's a Hecarim.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going.
Cloud Dragons. It's like, I had a feeling you were going there. It's just like even, it's kind of weird. Normally you're like, oh, you want to get the early Dragon Stack and this and that. But if you can get 3 Cloud Dragons, you don't even need the soul. Just 3 Cloud Dragons for Hecarim? That is going to be massive.
Yeah, and honestly, this entire Brad Balster's team composition is going to really like those Cloud Dragons, right? As most dive compositions do. You know, everybody's going to get a ton of value out of that. So if they can continue that dragon control over the next, 10-15 minutes, then they are going to be looking really, really good in this one.
I just realized that is like a pseudo AP Kaisa build here for onset. Crypt Bloom, Luden's companion with the Muramana. So throwing out a lot of those Void Seekers. Yeah, that's interesting.
Is this the LS supported build? I know the Crypt Bloom is something that he does favor. I believe the
Crypt Bloom is OP. Crypt Bloom is absolutely insane. If you're AP and you're not building that item, then I think you're failing in many regards. It's just that strong of an item with the magic pen that it gives to you and then the healing for the rest of the team. I think it's required to get.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I am entirely convinced by the AP Kaisa build being the correct choice in this game. You know, I think some people, you know, are a little bit convinced that it is actually just the strongest Kaisa build, that it is actually the best build that you can go for. And obviously, it is going to allow the Kaisa to, you know, get out this damage from very long range very safely and try and set up for these picks. But it's not really a pick composition that Brad Balsters are playing with, right? It's a dive comp. So, you know, the Kaisa with this AP build doesn't really want to dive in there necessarily and actually commit with the rest of the team. She's going to be actually looking to hang back and just continue to get out these W's.
Also, I'll try to steal away the blue buff there.
Good attempt.
That was a good attempt, but you're going up against a jungle, right? You can just smite that. But I appreciate it. I appreciate the temp, but, you know, going back to kind of what you were saying, it's like with the dive comp and getting these leads, it is working out well for Brad Balster at the moment, but when the game slows down, I feel like it still is going to favor that of Con Esports, because they're starting to get these items, especially for Cassiopeia. Now, 3 items completed here for LL Cool J's, Rallies being that third one. And when it comes to these tight corridors, especially around Baron, like, one thing that I didn't really touch on, which is why I also like Cassiopeia, is she functions very similarly, to how Azir is when it comes to objectives, with how fast she can take those down, especially once she has these 3 items.
Okay.
Wow, that was a...
Okay, yep. You know what? I take back everything I said. AP Kaisa, definitely the move this game, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, when you have, I guess when you have all that 80 on the top half of the map too, AP Kaisa's fine. It's like, you might as well go for it because Kaisa can do that. But
oh, that's true too.
I was a little surprised by that damage as well. I think I was expecting some damage, but not that kind of damage.
Yeah, definitely very powerful. I mean, that is the 3-item spike already for onset, right? As we were previously discussing. So good to see that damage. All, you know, very, very powerful at this stage in the game.
Well, I'm watching Jed here. You even have LL Cool J trying to body block just to make sure that more aren't landing.
Yeah. So that is kind of the weakness of the AP Kaisa, right? Is minion waves can sometimes make landing these long-range Ws a little bit difficult, but...
Yeah, but without minions, ooh.
Yeah, then it suddenly... It's like firing range.
I want to see how much damage one of these does. So, I'm looking more like Jin there with it's 444 on the magic damage that's being done right now. Per Void Seeker that's landing, and that's not... and that's not even with the like taking the passive into account on that too. That's just purely you land 1 Void Seeker, it's doing 444.
All right, Dragon Alive, magical. Let's see if Brad Balsters can manage to secure another cloud.
I think that Brad Balster here, all I have to do is keep throwing out these Void Seekers for a bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Scare away Khan, get enough damage. Like, Jed is already down below 50. They got that 1 to land on the data, and they're like, yeah, you know what? We're not going to stay here. So, giving up another Cloud Dragon, delaying the game further, which is great for Hecarim, because that's now 2 Cloud Dragons.
Oh, yeah, stacking up that movement speed.
So, crewman, remember when I said the Cloud Tech before? This is the Cloud Tech.
Ah, this is the tech with cloud. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you were predicting the future for us.
Yeah. I knew the future. I knew what was going to happen. I knew we'd get to a 3-game series and there would be a Hecarim in game 3.
Oh, I guess that's why we pay you the big bucks, huh, Magical?
Yeah, big brain.
Yeah. Only the Baron alive on the map right now in terms of neutral objectives. Definitely, though, this, I think Khan have kind of realized now that this AP Kaisa also a big problem, that they are going to need to find some way of dealing. Oh, fight.
Oh, no, there is a fight on the other side. Pop Blossom connecting onto 2. Zyra going to be the one that takes most of it. They are going to trade the jungle for the support with a flash coming in from Ashe. Jenny was chasing that down, but that left Syntax in the back line to take down Volibear, looking for the flash to get a double kill. Even if they did get the kill on the other side on onset, it was going to be, it's a kind of wild fight if you think about it. It's a 3-for-3 fight, so no one really comes out ahead.
I didn't actually see how the Kaisa died there. Somebody
it was because Jed flashed forward for it. Jed flashed and chased down onset that entire time. So while we were focused on Syntax getting the kills there, it was Jed almost playing like a maniac as an ADC, just running down the AP Kai'Sa, saying, you know what? AP Kai'Sa, you want to stay away and get poked? If I stay on top of you, I can get the kill, but that's going to be a nice petrifying gaze onto Hwasol, and this is that problem that you have is Yone
oh my
up
God.
against Ethiopia with a Fate Seal, trying to fight back, healing up, the shield from Sarah, shut down for LL Cool J's.
Yone still managed to make that close somehow because he is Yone, but LL Cool Jace, another nice Cassio ultimate, flashing forward, knew he was going to have the damage needed to actually take down that Yone, and just got his team a 5v4 on the map with Baron alive. They're straight on towards it.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well. You get the TP, and you saw Heck from bot lane. Even if he's a fast boy, it's going to take him a bit of time, and you got a Cassiopeia on the Baron. 50% onto that. Syntax has TP if they want to join, and there's some good wards to TP too. It is going to be gone before that anybody could join in. Syntax not even going to bother with the TP. They're just going to let that Baron go over to the hands of Khan.
Yeah, really huge for Khan Esports. It really felt like they were starting to struggle in this game, right? They didn't really have great answers for the AP Kai'Sa. You know, Syntax was still just tearing things up in that side lane, but one pick onto the Yone, they managed to secure the Baron for themselves. They're still down about 4k golds, but this Baron should give them map control for when that next Cloud Dragon spawns.
And this is the kind of been the thing and this is why I keep mentioning this Cassiopeia and the items that she was getting and how important that has been, because that is the big playmaker for Khan Esports. You look at Fiora, Volibear, you're like, okay, those are going to be the ones that start it. No. Cassiopeia is so good into this composition and everything that they're trying to do. The only real way to kind of get around that, which I think was a good answer initially, was Onset going for the AP Kai'Sa, saying, all right, I know I can't fight against LL Cool J's up front and up close, so I should get the poke instead. But what about the rest of the team? They still can't do that. They're not like you guys. They have to fight into this Cassiopeia, and they're going to struggle to do so.
Absolutely right. And it kind of brings us back to the draft discussion once again. You know, we have to remember the R5 Cassio, LL Cool J is kind of calling their shot for this entire game, and it's looking good right now. It's got a good arc on that ball, or on the snake in this case. It's heading towards the basket. Still need to land, though.
Exactly. It's like you... Pretty much, you're still down pretty far, and look at the flank. Syntax hasn't been a part of a lot of these fights, in which LL Cool J has as well. That is going to be big. That could actually turn things around. Doesn't matter how good you are at kiting as Cassiopeia. If you get chased down by an H-Hawk, but if you get a pick on a... Wow, if you just get a pick on the Echo like that beforehand,
that's Cloud Soul.
Doesn't even matter. Yeah, that's Cloud Soul. Because that's good. Well, it's still 40 seconds up until that. Echo should spawn at the exact same time, and he has a lot of movement speed. He could get back on the map in time, depending on how this fight comes in from Brad Balster Gaming.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but I think, I mean, as we've already discussed, the Cassio's damage on these neutrals is so massive that even with all of Hecarim's move speed, I actually don't think he's going to get there in time.
Yeah, you might be right. I'm looking at Syntax in the top lane, taking down the tier 2. They're getting a little bit of gold for Brad Balster, so that at least they're continuing to hold on to the gold lead, but we are getting to this point in the game where Cassiopeia is taking over. 4 items completed for the Snake. Then you have Sir Raven, 3 items on this Fiora who had struggled beforehand. Well, we talked before that eventually as Fiora, you start catching up in these items, and you're just going to be as terrifying as Syntax when it comes to these fights. Doesn't matter if you're 2 and 7. 3-item Fiora can rip apart the backline.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as you're just saying, Sir Raven is far down for pretty much this entire game, really struggling against Syntax's Aatrox, but now 3 items completed and with the Cloud Soul, I think it might finally be time for that side lane table to go and turn around.
I think so too. Kind of flip the table, say that you're going to take all the chips here and try to win this side lane. And it's funny, actually, it's a Hwasol who keeps going into the side matchup against Sir Raven, not actually sending Syntax into it anymore. I think kind of realizing that Yone, at this point, cannot win against Cassiopeia ever. It's too telegraphed.
True.
For every movement that you go for as Yone up against a Cassiopeia. And now that she has a death cap on top of everything, you're just going to die so quickly here. If you're, even Syntax is going to die fairly quickly with that lethality build. And not, having gone for the Sterix as opposed to going for the Malamab Mordius means that you have even less likelihood to survive against LL Cool J if you have a straight up 1v1 fight. I think it's really going to be important here how Brad Balster Gaming are going to play around some of these team fights. and how they're going to utilize Syntax in some of these, because they need to actually have kind of not a full straight up front to back team fight, but they need to have a 5v5 where they can dive into this back lane, get Syntax on top of LL Cool J's while Jett is completely removed from the equation too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what they were able to make happen in game number 2, right? Brad Balster in game 2, they were able to get onto those carries. In that game, it was Jed that was really the priority target. This time around, it's LL Cool J's on the Casio.
That's
but
a little
this
harder
time,
than last time, yeah.
Yeah, and Echo doesn't have the Vi this time. He doesn't have the point and click. So, yeah, I mean, Hecarim can get in there. He is, yes, unstoppable when he does cast the ultimate. But it's not as reliable to set up for the rest of your team as something like the Vi.
Mm-hmm. And with a minute left until Baron is going to spawn, we already see the movements from Con Esports. Getting a little bit of vision control around the pit, knowing that as long as they can kite back and make sure that LL Cool J is kind of kept safe and given a lot of room,
Oh,
they
we
can
get to
find
see the
these
side
wins.
lane. Wow.
Yeah, we see there. Syntax was looking for the play up against Sir Raven. Even wait a minute. Echo's in the spot lane. 40 seconds until the Baron's going to spawn. World Ender's been popped, and that's going to be the grand challenge. Already getting the
Fiora
heal.
wins.
This is what I was talking about. You get to the late game as Fiora. You might have been down the whole time. Onslaught of Shadows getting a
Bring more.
They have the riposte. Bring more into the battle, because I can still win. Sir Raven gets a double kill against 5.
Oh my god, Sir Raven, they kept him down for so long, but he has finally made his way onto Summoner's Rift. 2 kills in the 1v5, and the team is going to be able to put on so much pressure now on this side of the map.
I'm almost surprised they didn't just immediately try to peel back for the Baron. They get this tier 2 in the top lane. Baron's going to be spawning. They can't just go for it now, but is it enough? No, it's not enough of a window. You have a Cassiopeia, you have an Ashe here. They should be able to take this down quickly enough before anybody can get there's not going to be a TP there from Syntax to get in a position in time.
Oh yeah, it is absolutely gone once again. Con Esports now taking the gold lead. I mean, I don't even know if the gold really matters too much this late in the game, but it is symbolic at the very least, right, Magical, as they now find themselves with control. They have the Cloud Soul, they have another Baron buff, and now all that remains is to march on the enemy base, close this one out, and retain that undefeated streak.
Keep in mind that we are late into the game, and without you made a good point there, Crewman, that the gold is starting to mean less and less. It's not completely irrelevant because we still don't have full builds for everybody, right? We saw some people who are waiting to get full builds, but full build there for Syntax, nearly full build for LL Cool J. And I think more important than even the Baron is going to be that this Elder Dragon is going to be up in a minute and a half. And this is where if you are Brad Balster Gaming, you have to fight at that. Like, that goes over.
That's your Hail Mary.
Yeah, that is your Hail Mary, because if Con Esports pick that up, you lose. There's no winning. You're not getting on to this Cassiopeia in time before she can kill you with the Elder buff. So with this push being attempted by Con, they put themselves a bit far out, and without Sir Raven. So that's going to be the Stormbringer away from Ethereum, just to kite back as Pop Blossom uses it. So you're going to be only a trade of one ult for another ult. But look at what's happening on the other side. Sir Raven's just like, okay, cool. I'll open up the base. We don't even want to play for the Elder because we want to end the game. Mid lane inhibitor gone too. No fight really to be had here from Brad Balster because they're just too afraid. They're waiting for this poke to land out of their AP Kaisa first.
Yeah, really nice patience there from Con Esports. They know that they are just playing to pull their opponents apart, right? They've got Fiora in the side lane. You don't have to look for a fight when you're 4v5 in mid. You just disengage that, let Sir Raven get the work done, and then as your opponents are forced to respond to the Fiora to prevent her from taking the Nexus, then you get to move back forward. You get 2 inhibitors out of that Baron push, still with a whole nother minute on the buff as well. Now only 1 lane to play for, the whole team.
15 seconds until Elder. We already see that Con on the way. They already are getting control over the pit. And we mentioned before, you're not contesting this. If you're giving this up for free to the other side, you're just going to lose the game. Hasol was trying to 1v1 against Fiora, but you can't win that matchup. Sir Raven at this point is too strong. You missed that ult, and now it's going to be the grand challenge, getting the flash away from Hasol, but the chase in, Vital almost proc, dashing away, but the soul not there for yourself. Minion Spotted on the other side. They go for the engage onslaught of shadows. The damage, but they've lost out on Nico. Huge shields of Syntax could not touch, but anybody tried it back this entire time.
Oh my god, Syntax!
Getting the Elder Dragon. Syntax almost was a hero for the team, but guess who's opening up the game? Is there Raven? TP into the base, and Syntax might be able to get at least a little bit. No, spotted out by the control ward. Con Esports taking the series 2-1.
GG's, Con Esports, definitely. Cool, calm, and collected down the stretch there. And LL Cool Jace, I mean, he was so far down in game number 2. That is when they struggled. But here in game 3, able to get that R5 counter pick with the Casio into the Yone, found that early kill, and just was able to put on so much pressure for that whole game, it felt like, doing so much for the team.
And then Sir Raven, like, there's a reason why Fiora is kind of an annoying champion when it comes to the late game. You can do a great job, like Syntax did, winning that side lane the entire game until Fiora gets 3 items. And then you're like, well, it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fun. Syntax definitely did have a good amount of fun earlier on in that game. Obviously, Cloud Soul can help the Fiora quite a lot as well. And props to Sir Raven for, still retaining the mental, right? And being able to identify when he did finally get that 3-item spike, when he was finally in a position to be a threat in that side lane once again.
Yeah, and there you go. Con Esports taking this series 2-1, but it was well fought. Very close series between these two teams.
It was a great battle, as we would hope to see from the second and third place teams, right?
Exactly. And that's why I got to give a lot of credit over to Brad Balster Gaming on this one and how they were able to play this one. It was close. It's just unfortunate in this one that they just eventually got outscaled. They had decent scaling, but it does not compare to that of a Fiora and a Cassiopeia. And with how Hustle, with how LL Cool J was playing against Hustle in this one, it was a beautiful performance out of the Cassiopeia. And before, we were saying how we'd give M1 the player of the game in this series. This one, I'm actually because obviously you got to choose the winner. It's hard to choose because Sir Raven struggled for most of the game. It's just you got to that point as Fiora where you're like, okay, I can 1v5 now. But I feel like LL Cool J on the Cassiopeia was putting on the moves from moment 1.
Yeah. I definitely, as we already said, credit to Sir Raven for eventually coming online, and he did have that one huge play towards the bot lane, right, where he did find the outplay in the 1v5 to get 2 kills and basically guarantee Baron for the team. But I do think that LL Cool J has to pick up the double POG tonight. I mean, you said it yourself, was just in an advantage position, it felt like, from minute 1, and was the biggest threat for the squad in those team fights as well.
Yeah, so well done to LL Cool J and to Con Esports for picking up that 2-1 victory. But that's going to do it for us, I believe, here at Blue Otter for our Diamond League. It was a lot of fun. It was great casting with you, crewman. It was great having everybody here. Well. We will see you guys next week for more Diamond League. And, of course, we have plenty more Blue Otter leagues that you can check out throughout the week. So make sure you check in for all of that. And we will see you later. Good night and goodbye.
Bye-bye.